And now, race fans, will you please welcome back Mountain Dew action sports star Shaun White for the most famous words in motorsports.
Ladies and gentlemen, please hold up your Mountain Dew cups. And join me in saluting the running of the final Mountain Dew Southern 500. Gentlemen, start your engines!
The Southern 500 has been one of NASCAR's great races for over 50 years. And now there's just one final chance for a driver to win it. That begins next. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. And the chase continues at NASCAR's toughest track with the 55th running of the Mountain Dew Southern 500 on a sunny but cool afternoon in Darlington, South Carolina. The cars warming on pit road. They'll be on the track getting ready for the green flag in just moments. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, proud to sponsor the Budweiser Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Nextel Cup race. Friday's qualifying canceled due to weather, so field lined up according to points. And here are the drivers eligible for next February's Budweiser Shootout at Daytona.
First row, Kurt Busch, leader of the points, will start first. Jeff Gordon on the outside.
I think you're going to see a lot of respect here on this start of this race, because you've got all these guys who are racing for the championship. Dale Earnhardt, Jimmy Johnson in the second row, so I think there's going to be a lot of careful drivers until this thing gets sorted out up front.
Mark Martin, Southern 500 winner. Tony Stewart also there, row number 3.
It's the first time in a long time Ryan Newman hasn't started on the pole.
Yeah.
Qualifying was rained out. Elliott Sadler in a backup car.
Jeremy Mayfield, one of his best tracks. See how he runs today. Looked good in practice.
Jamie McMurray, Dale Jarrett. Guys are in row 6.
Kasey Kahne, we saw his practice crash while he was talking about how tough Darlington is. Backup car, he'll drop from row 7 to the tail end of the field.
And on the outside of row 8 is Rusty Wallace. Let's try to talk to him. Rusty Wallace, Benny Parsons, you got me?
Benny, got you loud and clear.
Rusty, your Busch car with Jamie McMurray driving won the Busch race yesterday. You found victory lane. Can you find it as a driver today?
I haven't done it in a long time here at Darlington, but I got a great car today, I think, and I believe I can find it, Benny. Heck yeah.
Well, good luck to you. What's the keys? Keeping out of trouble, staying out of the wall?
All of that, Benny. This track is going to be a tough one today. It's got awful narrow. The cars seem like they're pushing the front ends pretty much getting into turn 3. So you can't get too close to that wall and get into that thing, but a great handle of car, track position to get staying off that wall for sure.
Good luck to you, Rusty.
Thanks a lot.
And what Rusty's talking about, got narrow. There's 31 inches less racetrack to deal with because of the softer barriers. So it did get a little bit more narrow than last time.
Not like this racetrack was awfully wide to start with.
No,
There's a lot of pavement
narrow
there, but
they're going to be using the apron a lot more during this race than they used to, because this is what you have to do, because it is narrow.
We saw McMurray in yesterday's Busch race using the apron more than I've seen anyone use it in a long, long time.
now some of the drivers that get in on number of qualifying attempts their team have made in the rulebook procedure and fill out the final spots in today's Southern 500 field. Hermie Sadler, Johnny Sauter, row 21, and bringing up the tail end, Mario Gosselin, Lake Wales, Florida. Driver, veteran of the Florida short tracks. Big list of drivers failed to qualify and moving to the back.
Yeah, Kasey Kahne, Ricky Rudd, Elliott Sadler, all those guys made contact with the wall yesterday in final practice and had to go to a backup car, and they have to start in the back.
The cars that failed to qualify, Travis Kvapil had a really good practice run in practice, but the rains came and he could not showcase it in qualifying.
And we check the final stories on pit road before the Mountain Dew Southern 500 begins. Dave, go ahead.
Alan, just outside the chase for the Nextel Cup, Jamie McMurray can lock up 11th in points today here at Darlington, and the $1 million bonus that accompanies it. He's been champion-like in his performance since the chase began, and on Saturdays, he's won the last 2 races he's entered, making him one of the hottest drivers in NASCAR right now. You should see him at the front of the field before the day is out. Matt?
Dave, Darlington has been a roller coaster ride for rookie Casey Kane. Back in the spring, he sat on the pole, had a great race car, spun twice, yet still finished 13th. Yesterday, as Wally documented, he wrecked his primary car, then put it all back together, winning the Truck Series race last night in his first ever attempt. Now today, he'll try to do something that Bill Elliott did on this race weekend last fall at Rockingham with this very race car. Start at the back and end the day in victory lane. To Marty Snyder.
Matt, in this race last year, Greg Biffle may have had the best car, but his car was bottoming out so hard it developed a vibration, and the hands on the dials fell off. That's how hard the car was vibrating. He eventually did not finish the race. Biffle told me a moment ago the car almost as good this weekend. He starts 19th, but 2 weeks ago, the team tested here. He said we found some things in that test that have really helped us for this weekend to make our car much, much better. Bill?
Marty, 900 miles remain in the chase for the Cup. Today, the championship challengers face 500 of the toughest miles of the season on this mean old track. To a man, the top 7 teams believe to win the title, a win today is critical. To do that, drivers will try to defeat grit with grace. When the champion raises the trophy in the official ceremony next Sunday in Homestead, he might be thinking, I clinched at Homestead, but I won it at Darlington. Dave?
Bill, this old track is so tricky, it has drivers and teams going back to basics. We mean really back to basics. Listen to Mark Martin talking to his crew moments ago.
I want to hear from you today, you know, stuff like, remember, it's 500 miles, we're racing for points. Don't get so close to that wall. Just don't race it too hard today. You don't normally do that, and most people don't, but it's okay to treat me like I'm a rookie. We need to have a non-event race. No wall, hitting with the right side, you know, stuff like that.
Mark Martin to his spotter. Go ahead and treat me like a rookie. I want to finish this thing, Alan.
That's great stuff.
That is terrific stuff. And this guy is in his mid-40s. He's been coming here since the early 80s. But treat me like a rookie because he knows that wall is there and somebody is going to hit it today.
That's how much respect that guys like Mark Martin, veterans, have for this racetrack.
All you have to do to know how tough Darlington Raceway has been throughout this weekend alone, look around the wall as these cars make this final pace lap at the black marks on the wall. Those are all from this weekend. They weren't there on Thursday and Friday.
And I have got to imagine that 3/4 of the field will be in the wall at some time of the day. They may just touch it, but it's just so hard to keep out of the wall at this racetrack. I mean, you do the best you can. You're doing all you can. But when these tires go off, you slide and you slide and you slide, and the only thing that keeps you from leaving this racetrack is those walls.
Final lap before the green flag here at Darlington today. If your computer's handy nearby, log on to NBCSports.com. BP will preview next weekend's Ford Championship weekend at the Homestead Miami Speedway. He'll pick his favorite to win it all. And I'll give you what I call some fearless forecast factors. They asked me to pick who was going to win the championship. I said, how in the world do you do that? So I planted my tongue firmly in cheek. And you can read what I wrote. NBCSports.com.
I thought you had a long-range forecast on the weather for next weekend. But
that would be tongue firmly in cheek, too.
Yes, it would.
367 laps on this 1 1/3 track to make up 500 miles.
And we see these cars two abreast. They're side by side. They cannot race around this racetrack at speed this way. So somehow, some way, when they take the green flag, get down in turn 1, they've got to funnel down to one lane of cars.
It's one of NASCAR's great traditions dating back to 1950. Today, the final running of the Southern 500, whose name will go on that trophy at the end of the day. And how will this race affect the chase for the championship? We find out together over the next few hours. Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon lead the field to turn 1.
Boy, this is a very important couple of corners. I think Jeff Gordon actually backed off a little bit to let Kurt Busch go so he could get in line, single file, so he wouldn't have to go through 1 and 2 side by side. Top 8 cars already, single file.
Now, Jeff Gordon doesn't want Kurt Busch to lead this first lap, but there's nothing he can do about it, and there's no use in taking a chance this early on because that is 5 bonus points to the leader, Kurt Busch.
Tony Stewart losing a couple of spots. Newman in 12, Mayfield in 19 by him.
Well, here comes Tony Stewart back by Mayfield. Did that crossover move down in turn 1. has the spot.
And for the lead.
And there's the crossover. I want to see a lot of that today. Now, usually the guy on the inside, if you can get up far enough, which Kurt Busch couldn't there, normally if you go side by side into turn one, the guy on the outside has got to let that car on the inside go. You just can't go side by side into turn one because the cars slide too much. The guy on the inside will slide up into the guy on the outside and knock him into the wall.
So Jeff Gordon, the leader, equaling out 5 bonus points with his title rival, Kurt Busch. Bill?
Well, Alan, we heard from the veteran Mark Martin. Kurt Busch is 26, came here leading the championship standings. This was his speech to his team before the green flag flew.
All right, boys. Darlington. We know what happens here. We've got to protect the race car. And we're going to have a ton of pit stops. We're to pretend it's a regular race. We've got to do our job to the best of our ability. Make sure that we stay focused, have some fun on this deal, and let's do it.
I saw Kurt at driver introductions. I told him that I had his pit. I'd see him during the race. He goes, I don't want to see you during the race, but I'll be happy to talk to you after the race over there. That's where victory lane would be.
Well, like you said a couple minutes ago, Bill, the guy that won this, that wins the championship may think he clinches it at Homestead, but he may feel he won it here.
And that's what Robbie Loomis was concerned about this morning. Mistakes. Not making any mistakes. Not making a bad call. A bad pit stop. Things that can really come back to haunt you.
Newman just get by Earnhardt Jr. And Newman's got a pretty strong car right now early in this race.
So 4th place for Ryan Newman in the 12. He calls Darlington his favorite racetrack on the circuit.
Most of them do, which is so strange because it's so hard, but most of them will tell you it's their favorite place.
Why is that? Because it's the biggest challenge.
It is the challenge. And if you like a race car that slides, this is heaven. That's all this race car is going to do for 500 miles.
Walking through the garage area, teams will tell you, boy, they don't build them this way anymore. I said, if they did, it'd be certifiable insane to build something like this. But the track was built in 1949 and 50, opened in 1950.
Single file all the way back through the first 20 positions in the field. And that's not unusual here.
And these teams that are battling for the Nextel Cup, they had to be happy that qualifying was rained out, that they did not have to start somewhere back in the middle of the pack, because that is dangerous, dangerous land back there. A lot of stuff happens in the back, and most of it is not good.
Jeff Gordon making his 400th start in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series today, and his 12th in this Southern 500.
Well, I'll tell you, the 24 car is using a lot of racetrack right now. I mean, it looks like it's handling good, Bill, but he's sliding up to that wall a little bit more than Kurt Busch is right now.
Yeah, using it all and maybe getting the feel for it, too. You think, Wally, finding out where the car is going to run, how close you can get up there with that safer barrier in place?
Absolutely.
Well, as Alan mentioned, his 400th start, 69 career wins, 6 of them here. He says the keys to success here, be patient, respect the track, know when to go, and when to conserve.
And Jeff likes to run up in 3 and 4 higher than most people. I mean, as you see it right there, we see Kevin Harvick bobble a little bit there, but he does run very high up in 3 and 4. The thing you got to be careful is when you get off your tires, you saw it yesterday, if you go in that corner 3 feet deeper than you did the lap before, those couple inches will disappear and you'll just hit the wall. So you got to be really, really consistent when you drive this racetrack.
Trying to get a look at the right side of Harvick's car and see if we picked up the first Darlington stripe of the day.
You think he might have gotten in the wall, huh?
Might have.
Yeah, we'll
tell that color.
We'll look as he goes by us this time and see if we can see the familiar scraping. Looked okay.
He's got a mark there, but he had one there yesterday, I believe.
Let's have a look and see.
Just going into turn 3. See how that car shoots up the racetrack? I would give that a Darlington stripe.
Yep.
That's one. Right. First one of the day.
I think we ought to keep count.
I think we need to keep count.
How many Darlington stripes are passed out in the afternoon? So Kevin Harvick picks up the first one while he loses a couple of positions. As Harvick right now back to 14th spot He started the race right there in 14th. Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch have each led in the opening laps of the Mountain Dew Southern 500.
NBC's coverage of the NASCAR Mountain Dew Southern 500 is brought to you by Mountain Dew, the taste everyone's mad about. By Ford, the official truck of NASCAR. By Propane, Propane Exceptional Energy. And by Viagra. Ask your doctor if Viagra is right for you.
Matt Kenseth is slow. Came off turn 4 and was slow. I don't know. He has an engine problem, or
Looks like he's going now. He may have just scared himself.
maybe he did. Maybe just got sideways. You're right.
He lost one spot from 10th back to 11th, but is hanging on to that spot. It's teammate Greg Biffle will be the next one to come up behind him in his second. Actually, Biffle's gone by too, so he's lost 2 positions there in that last lap for Kenseth. Keep an eye on it, defending series champion.
He moved over and came down the front straightaway low, like something had happened to the car, but then it called back up, and away he goes.
I guarantee one of our pit reporters is finding out what the story is now.
And that'd be Matt.
BP down in the 17th here. Robbie Reiser just told Matt Kenseth, be patient, hang on to it the best you can. We'll fix it on our first pit stop. What they're going to try to fix is the bad loose condition he had. Said that really kicks out underneath him when he exits the corner.
Yeah, we just saw that by that camera angle.
Jeremy Mayfield, Dale Earnhardt Jr. just trading the 8th and 9th spots. Mayfield moving up.
Now, when we talk about scaring yourself, that's scaring yourself right there.
For the lead, Kurt Busch.
And a battle for second spot as here comes Ryan Newman, that 12 car, and the Rocket Man goes to second. Bill, what's going on with 24?
Benny first. The word from Gordon was really tight in that 24 car just about 2 laps ago. Now it's loose, really loose. So the car vacillating from tight to loose. You'll have that at Darlington.
Yep. Could lose another spot here, possibly. Bill, his teammate, as we get a challenge for the lead. Newman under. And I'll tell you what, Newman got a little bit loose there. Newman got a little bit loose, but if he could have kept up with them right there, he could have had the spot going to turn 1 because he was far enough up on Kurt Busch, but that sideways cost him.
Ryan Newman moving up from his 7th starting spot to 2nd. And Matt, something's wrong. Newman's off the pace, off turn 2.
What's up, man?
Possibly something wrong with a tire on the 12. He hasn't said much on the radio.
Well, he got real sideways here, Matt, that lap
I think it's the right front.
Oh, hang on, and this is a tough pit lane to get onto. One of the toughest on the circuit. Now, they had a tire issue last week at Phoenix, Matt.
And they're already going to work on the right side tires. Off onto the left. You heard him say he thinks it might have been a right front tire. Not exactly sure. They're going to check the pressures. Tough break for Newman.
So in the course of a straightaway, he goes from trying to take the lead away from Kurt Busch to now being a lap down.
At least 1 lap, maybe 2 laps down. Kurt Busch goes by again. Puts him 2 laps down.
But he will have 4 fresh tires, and he will be a lot faster than these cars right here. So he'll be able to make up a lot of ground, maybe get one of those laps back even.
And we see Junior has gone back by Jeremy Mayfield. Here comes the 01 by the 19. Marty?
He keeps falling backwards from the 3rd starting position. BP, remember, this is a backup car for Dale Earnhardt Jr., but actually it was faster than the primary car. This car hasn't run in about a year and a half, but it had won the All-Star race at Charlotte, and it also had finished 4th here. Right now, Junior, way too tight, having a tough time hanging on to the car.
So Junior falling back to the 8th position. He started 3rd. Kurt Busch with 0.6 of a second lead over Jimmy Johnson. There are the top 2. And we check our NASCAR Nextel chase fact. Kurt Busch has kind of turned it on in these last 8 races. The first 28 of this season, he had 5 top 5 finishes. In the last 8 races, he's equaled that mark.
I tell you what, had it not been for the blown engine in Atlanta and finishing 42nd, he could clinch a championship, but he did have the blown engine, and a lot of guys in contention. Matt, know what happened to 12?
BP, they just told Ryan over the radio, cut right right front tire for the 12. Tough break considering the fact he's had some good race cars here in the past. Remember back in the spring, hit the commitment cone entering pit road. Last fall here, entering pit road leading, hit the kill switch on the steering wheel. Has had a string of bad luck here at Darlington.
And there we go for the lead. Jimmie Johnson.
5 bonus points toward the championship in Team 48's column.
Kurt Busch got a little bit loose off of turn 4, which got Jimmie Johnson up beside him into turn 1, and that's all it took.
So Jimmie Johnson out in front of the Mountain Dew Southern 500 at Darlington, just 26 laps in. Darlington Raceway, South Carolina, and the 55th Mountain Dew Southern 500. Live on NBC Sports. Big crowd here today. Sunny but cool weather. And Jimmie Johnson out in front of this race. Our singular wireless race talk poll, this being the final Southern 500. We were kind of musing back over some recent editions. Wanted to know what your most memorable Southern 500 moment was of these. Jeff Gordon, remember he and Jeff Burton trading sheet metal on the last lap in '97. Bill Elliott's $85 million win. Terry Labonte's win last year. Or David Pearson's last win in the 500, which came in 1979, subbing for Dale Earnhardt that day.
We only have 4 choices.
That's all I narrowed it down to. Sorry,
None of the above.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you can tell us your pick later. How's that?
Okay, good. Here comes McMurray, a battle for second spot. Looks like Kurt Busch might be struggling just a little bit, Bill.
Benny, more than just a little bit. You can start off like a rocket here at Darlington, but it goes away in a hurry. And Kurt Busch had this radio transmission to his crew on lap 26.
These setups that we've run these days just kill the tires. It's awful right now. Can't even drive into turn 3 at all. It's really tight in and just absolutes all the way through.
A lot of guys want tires like on lap 2, and that's after laps 1 and 2 of the pace laps. But you can tell how the tires going away here affect the setup. Kurt's car losing the handle.
Watch the 42 car here, Jamie McMurray. We were talking about earlier, remember when I mentioned the apron? Watch how much of the apron the 42 car uses going on turn 3. And the apron is the part that's not really part of the racetrack. It's the flat spot down. But the way these walls are, the way you have to angle the car in, your car slides so much. The 42 car, Jamie McMurray, goes all the way down. Look how much of the apron he's using.
And he doesn't slide up like we see Kurt Busch slide up right against the outside retaining wall. Jamie doesn't do that. He stays down in the middle of the racetrack. And so he'll be the last car to get a Darlington stripe, the 42 will.
Yep. So your car's going to slide. It's going to slide a long ways. But if you get down the apron, you can make your car work down there. It's going to slide, and like PP says, you're not going to slide all the way to the wall. You're going to have that extra room.
And you see that the leader, Jimmie Johnson, has started to lap cars. Elliott Sadler in the backup is a lap down. Ryan Vickers, 25, is a lap down.
Man, all the way down there. Matt?
Well, Jimmie Johnson told me the best thing that this team can do is to act and feel like they did 3 weeks ago, which is say, we just do not have a shot at this championship. We just need to go out there and win races, because that's what worked for them earlier in the year. Go on the offense. They do a lot better when they're on the offense, when they try to play defense, guys, and that's exactly what they're doing. Chad told me the setup under this car, when he showed Jimmie the chassis sheet, Jimmie said, you have got to be kidding me. Chad said, if we're going to win it, we got to be aggressive.
Jimmie Johnson said after that terrible race he had in Kansas, his mind switched just to offense. No more defense from that point on. So there's Johnson. Let's check back to find Dale Earnhardt Jr.
He's struggling a little bit.
He's right now about 10 seconds behind the leader, Jimmie Johnson, as he follows Carl Edwards down in turn 1.
That's all the way back to 11th place for Jr. He started 3rd.
Right on board with Dale Jr. as he goes down. Gets off a 2 and snaps the wheel around a little bit, trying to save the car. Drives down into turn 3. See him just tugging on that wheel, trying to feel where the car is, and you hear the throttle. Got to really work the throttle. Marty, what's he saying about that 8 car?
Well, Wally, he said it's tight into the corners and loose off the corners. That's a handful here at Darlington, and the condition that's gotten worse is the tight or the loose off the corners. Gotten a lot worse for Junior. And you know, a lot of times you just, like we've talked about before, crank that wheel, but here at Darlington, that makes it even looser off. Junior really struggling right now. He said earlier this week, some guys learn this racetrack earlier in their career. Guys like me, we have to work at it. You have to work at this place, Wally.
Yeah, you do. You watch him. When that wheel gets turned to the right, he's struggling. Watch the throttle light. When you got to work the throttle like a baby here, you get on the gas very gently. You get off it a little bit, yeah. Then you get back on it, and what you're doing is you're trying to feel that car grip.
Let's jump off that for second. Wally to a race for third.
Biffle at 16 car has worked his way up to the third position after starting back in 19 as he goes by Kurt Busch. Remember last year Marty talked about the 16 car. He was the fastest car for a spell last Southern 500.
Actually ran into some mechanical troubles while leading this race 1 year ago. So Greg Biffle on the move early. He's running third behind Jamie McMurray and Jimmy Johnson. Johnson out in front. In the early going, we've just passed 50 miles of the Mountain Dew Southern 500. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
47 laps on the board in the Mountain Dew Southern 500 here in Darlington, South Carolina. Pit stops are not that far away. Let's quickly take you through the field. Look at some of the top runners so far, starting with Jimmy Johnson, and here's Matt.
The 48 team has a 1.7-second lead over Jamie McMurray. He started the day 48 points out of first in the championship chase, trying to give Rick Hendrick, his owner, one more victory here at Darlington, which would be 11, making him the winningest owner at this famed old racetrack. The car tight, but a little snap loose off the corner. Meanwhile, Jamie McMurray trying to become the third driver to sweep the Busch and Cup events here in the same weekend. His car is on the tight side, Marty.
Matt, Greg Biffle started 19th. Currently, he is in third position and about 3 laps away from pitting on lap 20. He brushed the wall. They're worried about a tire rub. Car has been just a little bit tight. Joe Nemechek's car, pretty good. Tied in 1 and 2. Little free off 4. This team has had an excellent month and a half, having another solid run this weekend. Bill?
Solid run for Sterling Marlin so far. Good handling car. Marlin with some success at this track in the past. Strong start for Sterling in that 40 car, Dave.
Mark Martin running as high as 4th today, and after telling his spotter to treat him like a rookie, a veteran move. He let 2 different cars, Joe Nemechek and Jamie McMurray, by earlier because they were much, much quicker. Weber?
Well, that 97 car of Kurt Busch, not nearly what it was at the start of the race. It will be a track bar adjustment and a major air pressure adjustment when they stop. Marty?
23rd to 8th for Robbie Gordon. Weber in a good run. The car getting better the longer they run. They told him on the radio, they're coming to you, and they're coming to you fast. Robbie's only comment on the radio, it's hard to pass out here. Matt?
Jamie McMurray, the 19 car, never able to recover from that crash in New Hampshire in the first chase races. The car is tight on entry, and Bill, it is loose on exit.
Matt, good run for the 88 car right in front of the 19. Jeremy Mayfield, as we talked about on the Discover Card Countdown to Green. Jarrett strong at this track. I talked to his crew chief, Michael Ford, this morning. He had high hopes for his car and his driver today. As for the 20 of Tony Stewart, started off tight, then he radioed back in, but now it's gone bad loose on me. As for the 9 of Casey Kane, in a backup car after a hard crash here in final practice, has come marching through this field, currently 12th. Won the truck race here last night, Matt.
And Matt Kenseth, you see him on the screen. He keeps talking to his crew. He doesn't think he can hold out much longer. He thinks he might have a right rear tire going down as he makes his entrance on the pit road. The defending series champion, 3 DNFs during this chase race, trying to break that bad luck streak with a good run here in Darlington, was just outside of the top 10 as he pulls to a stop. You can see the wrench going in the back window. They're going to make a chassis adjustment. We told you earlier the car was just bad loose on exit. You can see him trying to hold on to it as they go around to the left side of the 17 car. Kenseth just trying to make something positive happen here as the season's winding to a close.
And you know, I think a lot of drivers are going to think they have flat tires today just because of this racetrack kills the tires. I mean, you just have nothing left at the end of a run, and it feels like you have a flat.
I walked across this racetrack coming up from the garage here this morning, and the pavement is gone. It's just rocks, small rocks that's in the pavement that sticks up. That's what just grinds all the rubber off the tires and makes it so slick.
Like a cheese grater.
Tony Stewart is on pit road. And a green flag stop at lap 53. Dicey time in the race now, Bill. Guys with the speed of fresh tires. versus does the caution flag come out before the stops cycle through?
And how much time can you make up on those fresh tires if you come in early, Alan? That's what Tony Stewart's going to try and do. Just the car's gotten so loose from him, he's going to have to stop, get the four tires, make a big chassis adjustment. It's wedge and track bar, air pressure adjustment for the Home Depot Chevy. Then they'll send Tony back out. Started off tight, went loose, waiting on the left rear. Long stop for Stewart under green. He's on his way.
Jeff Burton on pit road, and now Mark Martin dropping onto the pit road along with Scott Wimmer. So Martin gives up 6th place for a green flag stop at lap 56, kind of earlier than we were expecting.
All this is good. It's a good strategy if the caution flag doesn't come out, because when he goes back on the racetrack, he'll be 2 seconds a lap faster than Jimmy Johnson and any other cars. Dave, coming to you.
In fact, Mark Martin said to crew chief Pat Tryson, "Are you sure you don't want to stay out 1 or 2 more laps?" Pat said, "No, bring it in this time." Mark wants air pressure adjustments in the car a little bit tight. They have gone to the left side, reduced the air in both of those left side tires for Mark. Good stuff for the 6 crew so far. He is down and out pit road. Marty?
Dave, a top 5 run for his teammate Greg Biffle, trying to make his way to his pit stall. Again, as we told you, contact with the wall in lap 20. You see that Darlington stride down the right side of Greg's car. The car also tight. They will make an air pressure adjustment as well as a wedge adjustment, trying to loosen up Biffle's car. And Doug Richard, the crew chief, said make sure the right front fender is clear. They have a very good car. They want to take care of it here early in the going at Darlington. Left side tires going on. 15.6 on the stop. Nice stop, Dave.
Bobby Labonte's crew actually a little better than they thought they might be today. Bobby was complaining about his car being tight. Used the phrase, "oh my," early on in the run. They're going to make a chassis and air pressure adjustment to try to help Bobby's car on this tough Darlington Raceway. Left side going up now. They finished their work on the right side. Second can of fuel done. Bobby leaves. Bill.
And now Kurt Busch will have to make the long trip down pit road, has the #1 stall all the way in turn 1. So he makes the trek down pit road. Again, this will be a major air pressure adjustment, and they're talking about dropping the track bar. Kurt very unhappy with the way the car has handled after the tires started going away. He's gotten his Darlington stripe early. You want to get that out of the way. A lot of these teams running extra tear-offs on the windshield today. He's already had one removed. Around to the left side. So Kurt Busch, the leader in the chase for the Nextel Cup, has his first set of fresh tires. He's on his way. Jeff Gordon has been complaining about the handling of his race car, saying it's getting tighter going into turn 3, but it's also so loose, I just don't know what to do. So crew chief Robbie Loomis and his driver talked over changes. They'll make a chassis change and an air pressure adjustment here for Gordon, trying to make that 24 car better. 5 wins in the Southern 500, 6 in this track, going for his 7th Darlington win today. Coming from the 2nd starting spot, right on the left side. They clean the grill, that'll be very important. He's on his way, and you can see he's got a little bit of a stripe as well. Dave.
Rusty Wallace does not have a Darlington trophy, does not have a Southern 500 trophy, wants to get one today. His car, though, not handling well. Loose off the corners was the report from Rusty. They're going to throw everything at it. 2 different wrenches are going to go in the back windows. He's going to make a wedge and a track bar adjustment, the team will. 2 cans of gas, 4 tires. They'll also make an air pressure adjustment, doing everything they can to try to get this former Nextel Cup champion back on the track with a better race car. Left side is down, and he's gone. Marty.
Dave Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming down pit road. Remember, he started 3rd today. He fell back as far as 16th. Really tight into the corners, loose off. He said, guys, it's like I have no grip in the rear of the car. I'm spinning the tires coming off the corner. They're going to make an air pressure and a wedge adjustment, trying to tighten that car up off the corners for Dale Earnhardt Jr. And they're also going to make a track bar adjustment, going down 1 round the track bar. Quick on the right side for the Budd crew. They're going to change the left side tires here and try and get him back out on the track. 3rd place man in the championship. 47 points coming out. Longer stop than they would like. 17-2. Matt?
And the 48 team up on the wall waiting for Jimmy Johnson. They've got an opening, but it's difficult to see because they are around the bend. They're calling Jimmy Johnson in. They told him the lap before, make sure you get a good eye on pit road. A number of guys in the past have missed pit road or hit the commitment cone like Ryan Newman. They're going to make a wedge and track bar adjustment on the 48 car for Jimmy Johnson. The car was a little bit tight. The 42 of Jimmy McMurray, they were going to wait until the 48 pitted and then make their stop. The 48 is down and away. The 42 service are already complete. They made an air pressure adjustment on the right side for McMurray.
And there it is, a battle for the lead, and they aren't that far apart. Looks like they're about a second apart.
Sterling Marlin took the lead when Johnson pitted. Now Marlin is on the pit lane. It'll put Joe Nemechek out in front of the race. And then it's going to cycle around, and guess who?
Ryan Newman.
It's come to Sterling Marlin stop.
Alan, this is a stout run for Sterling Marlin in that 40 bunch. A disappointing season, but this car's been good from the get-go. In fact, Sterling said it's good with everything. The car's doing well. So on pit road, it'll be 4 tires, watching to see if they make the chassis adjustment. Didn't see one yet. So there may be a small air pressure adjustment here for the 40 car around to the left side, and Sterling Marlin, a past winner at this track, on his way.
And the 12 car, Ryan Newman, we talked about him taking lead. He's coming back on the pit road.
You know what? I think he needs tires. You may as well come in and get good tires now because you've already used them up. Matt?
I guess he can't see it.
That's
But you know what I'm
down
saying? You've got the track position, but you've got 10 or 15 laps on those tires. They're junk. So come in and get tires. I think this is a great move.
He got all the way back on the lead lap with the fresher tires before. Why give up the time now? Get the tires while you can and try and stay in sequence with the other leaders.
Yep.
He probably is going to be at least 1 lap down.
Let's see how it cycles out.
But you're right, he did not want to be on the racetrack 2 seconds slower than Jimmy Johnson, Jamie McMurray, Greg Biffle, those guys.
So the leader after this cycle of pit stops is going to be Greg Biffle, followed by Mark Martin, then Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Jamie McMurray. But remember, Biffle stopped earlier than Jimmy Johnson did, and we'll see how many laps the fresher tires make a difference speed-wise. Bonus point play coming in here, Dave?
Yeah, guess what the conversation is from the 6 to the 16. Hey, how about letting us lead a lap? We need the bonus points.
And that's Newman right in front of Biffle right there. So Newman stays on the lead lap. And Mark's going to get those points.
There you go.
Thank you, teammate.
I remember after the end of the Atlanta race that Mark wasn't necessarily thinking in those same teammate terms. So Mark Martin out in front. Batesville, Arkansas. You saw on Discover Card Countdown to Green, the place where he'd like to bring a Nextel Cup championship trophy back to. The 45-year-old looking for his second Southern 500 win today.
NBC's coverage of the NASCAR Mountain Dew Southern 500 is brought to you by Chevy, the winningest name in racing, an American revolution. By UPS, the official express delivery company of NASCAR. UPS, we want to race the truck. People love the truck. By the Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. And by the Principal Financial Group. We understand what you're working for.
In one more lap, we will hit the 100-mile mark of the Mountain Dew Southern 500 with Mark Martin, the 5th place driver in the chase for the Nextel Cup, starting the day out in front. This being the final Mountain Dew Southern 500, we asked you to vote on your most memorable Southern 500 moment in our Singular Wireless Race Talk poll.
How about Terry Labonte last year, 43%. We can see our audience is not too old because they didn't go back to 1979.
I thought that'd be a problem.
That's kind of why we lean toward the newer, the more recent finishes in our nominees. What was your favorite, BP?
1980, when went down to turn 1 on the last lap, 4 cars, we hit oil, and we all wrecked, but Terry Labonte
didn't
wreck.
And he led.
Earnhardt wrecked, Pearson wrecked, I wrecked, but Labonte didn't. He went on the win.
He led 2 laps that day.
Well, it was 2 laps to go, huh?
Well, Mark Martin leading Jimmy Johnson by a second and a half. Johnson is 3rd. Greg Biffle between these top 2. And the reason we point out where Johnson is because he was the leader before the pit stops.
He's now 2nd.
Oh, he just passed Biffle.
Yes, he did.
My bad.
Dave?
Well, leader Mark Martin is racing car number 118 from their stable. Talked to Pat Tryson about that car this morning. It finished 2nd in Atlanta 2 weeks ago. I said, would you have normally brought an Atlanta car to Darlington? He said, nope, I need as many points as possible. So he gets points by his teammate moving over. He got points from bringing a better race car than he might have normally. They're trying to get as many points as they can to try to still win this championship, guys.
And I'll make a point here, too. When they catch the 6th car, Mark is not going to race Jimmy Johnson. He will just pull over and go, because Mark, like he said on the pace lap, you've got to race this racetrack and not worry about the competitors right now. Just concentrate on keeping that race car clean.
He
and
might
not hit the wall.
He might worry about that competitor the last 100 miles.
Right.
He's not going to the first 400.
Long ways to go.
Yes, it is.
People watching the pit stops a little while ago saying, okay, Jimmie Johnson had a good pit stop. How did he come out so far behind the 6 car?
Because the 6 car stopped, 8 laps before the 40. He's on the racetrack running. Oh, there we go. Battle for the lead.
And like I said, Mark just pulled over and said, go.
Mark Martin was on the racetrack for 8 laps, running 2 seconds a lap faster than Jimmie Johnson. And that's why Jimmie Johnson now is so much faster than Mark, because his tires are 8 laps newer.
And which is, normally that would make a big difference in a lot of racetracks, but here it makes all the difference.
And that's why there's so much pressure on these crew chiefs today to make the right call when you make that pit stop.
But see, everything worked out okay this time because there wasn't a caution flag in the middle of the pit stop. But what happens, half the cars make a pit stop and then the caution flag comes out. Those crew chiefs that made the stop, they all start shooting themselves, want to shoot themselves because guess what? Now they're a lap down to the leader.
Rusty Wallace has fallen back to 37th place in this race. He stopped under the green flag at lap 59, then he came back in again at lap 66. They had a tire problem. So now that the pit stops have cycled out and everything's leveled out for the moment, Jimmie Johnson has reassumed command of the Mountain Dew Southern 500. Johnson, 4th in the championship. 48 points behind the leader coming into the day, trying to continue his strong late-season push to the top.
Back in Darlington, under caution for Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s contact with the wall. Pit stops underway. Leader Jimmie Johnson is in. Says the car is pretty good. Tight in some areas, but loose in others. He doesn't want to take a chance. Doesn't want to make any adjustments on this stop. Marty?
Matt, Greg Biffle running 3rd. The car's a little bit tight. They're going to take a half pound on left side tires. He's in the middle of your screen and halfway back on the wedge adjustment they made on the last stop. Dave?
Mark Martin still just a little bit tight. Another small air pressure adjustment to the left side tires. He's already done. Bill?
Outstanding run for 2-time Darlington winner Sterling Marlin. No changes to the car on the last stop or this stop. Sterling said that's the first time in a long time we haven't had to make changes. They want long green flag runs. He's in traffic heading off pit road.
And Mark Martin and Biffle will beat Jimmie Johnson off pit road.
There's a big log jam there when Martin came out of his pit stall in front of Biffle, who was trying to get in front of Johnson.
Yes, it was. There was Seed, Mark Martin.
This is tame compared to what it was in about the middle of the pit lane. These guys were side by side trying to get in.
How about that 31 crew?
Yeah, he's running good.
Awesome.
Week after week, they get the job done, huh? Kenseth, oh, look at this.
Man, that is so
Photo
close.
finish.
Who's out on the outside?
Carl Edwards.
So Mark Martin's crew gets him back the lead on pit road after an excellent stop for Team Roush. This would be Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team accepting their $20,000 in the McDonald's Drive-Thru Pit Crew Championship fueled by Powerade. They not only won the race in Phoenix, they won the pit crew money, and they took the lead in the season-long standings.
They won everything last weekend,
Yes,
didn't they?
They did. Congratulations to Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team for a good day in Phoenix.
Watch how busy. Watch when Mark pulls out of the pit. You got Biffle and Jimmie Johnson racing down pit lane.
And Mark just nailed it.
Perfect.
Straight out, 44, 44, come on.
And
Perfect.
back down to pit road speed,
Yeah,
and everything's good. Now we'll show you why we are under the first caution of the Southern 500. Watch the orange car, top of the screen.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. bouncing off the wall up between 3 and 4. 1 and 2, I'm sorry. It used to be 3 and 4.
And that's why we are under the yellow flag. Clean up the debris from the 32 car. That is 1 to go signal being given. Restart next time by. Yesterday, Jamie McMurray with his 2nd straight NASCAR Busch Series win, 3rd of the season. By the way, all for different teams. He won at Darlington as we give our NASCAR Busch Series update. Martin Truex Jr. clinched the NASCAR Busch Series Championship for 2004 for Chance 2 Racing.
Kyle Busch tried to run too long on a set of tires.
Chance 2, the team owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the left and Teresa Earnhardt on the right. And of course, Martin sharing the victory celebration with his team owners yesterday here at Darlington Raceway.
All right, now here's the real nervous time for the drivers on these restarts. When you have cars a lap or more down on the inside, this is the toughest place to get going on a restart, especially when you're on the outside. That's the advantage that Mark, Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, those guys are going to have, that they can clear those slower cars. The guys behind them are going to struggle because it's tough on these restarts.
Jimmy Johnson, Robbie Gordon, Jamie McMurray, those guys will be struggling trying to get by these lap cars.
And it gets real tight up in turn 2 on a restart.
By the way, Ricky Rudd, the lucky dog at the last caution. He's back on the lead lap, 25th place. Mark Martin leading them down for the restart.
There you see in the area where it says restart, they can nail the accelerator.
Oh, see, Rusty wanted up in that high line bad.
Oh, man.
It's tight.
Tight, very tight.
And all it takes in that line of traffic is for one guy to slip coming off that corner and have to get out of the gas, and about 5 cars back is where the pileup happens.
Exactly. And it's just so slippery up there. See Robbie Gordon way up high trying to get or stay in front of Jamie McMurray and pulls it off.
That was a battle for the 4th position, but he hangs on, does Robbie Gordon, in the 31 red and blue car. That's a lap car. Brian Vickers directly in front of Robbie.
Brian, 28th place. Tell you what, Robbie Gordon has run better than his finishes have shown the last couple of weeks, Marty.
I'm telling you, Alan, top 5 car in the last 2 races. They've had some problems at the end of the race, though. But BP was talking about the pit crew. 14-1 on the stop for Robbie Gordon. That was an excellent stop, got them out. And they've made no adjustments to this car the entire day. On both stops, they've left it alone.
Boy, that's great to have a car like that here. That means the car is neutral and he's happy with it. And a neutral car here at Darlington, perfect.
Now, Rusty Wallace has passed Mark Martin because he's abusing those tires a little bit to stay in front of Mark. Mark backing up to just a little bit, being wise, saving those tires.
Look as they run. Martin cutting his deficit almost in half to the championship leader, Kurt Busch. Kurt is 10th in the race right now. Mark leading.
There we see 6th through 10th. And Elliott Sadler in that backup car is struggling big time today.
So Mark Martin leading the Southern 500. He won the race in 1993, his 19th try at this great event.
Hey, Bill, what's Kurt Busch said about the 97 car? He's currently running in the 10th position.
Oh, he's just having a lovely day in South Carolina. Benny, you believe me?
No.
Ah, that's good. 4 tires, fuel, half-pound out of the right front tire last time, trying to help that car just a little bit. Kurt actually wanted to make an air pressure adjustment on the left side. They're going to do that later in the race. The big thing they're preaching to Busch is patience. Be patient. They also believe that Kurt Busch is one of the best drivers at Darlington after you get 40 laps on your tires.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Oh, yeah. And that patience thing, Bill, I mean, this is a long race. This race takes the better part of 4 hours to run. We're not even 150 miles in, so it's like Ryan Newman when he had the problem early. Had plenty of time to make it up and still come up with a good finish.
And that really was a wise move on Ryan Newman's part. He's currently 18th position on the lead lap.
Speaking of plenty of time to make it up when things aren't going well early.
Jeff Gordon, he's in the 14th spot right now. What kind of days he having, Bill?
It hasn't been a very good one so far. Wally started second. He slipped back in the field. But the way these guys have run, especially in the second half of the season, you think about Chicagoland, you think about Atlanta, when basically you figured they weren't even in the race and they came charging back. Obviously, Atlanta, they ended up in the garage, but they had that good run at Charlotte to come back and finish strong. 500 miles here at Darlington for this guy, Gordon. He's won a lot here. Don't count them out yet. Trying to move forward, made some adjustments on the last stop. And again, the key word there from Robbie Loomis, patience.
Yeah, I thought last week at Phoenix that he was a 10th, 15th place car. Where did he finish? 3rd?
Wound up in the top 3, yep.
Jeff Gordon Those guys have been phenomenal this year at coming back at the end.
Tony Stewart off the pace. He lost about 8 spots in turns 3 and 4 last time by, I think. Bill, what's up there?
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He said, to be honest, I don't know what the heck's going on with the car. I don't know how to make it run faster. It's just basically slow, won't handle well. So frustration in the cockpit for Tony Stewart, one of the chasers that could have left here with a lead.
And as soon as Biffle, the 16 car, started pressuring Mark Martin in the 6 just a little bit, Mark moved over it, let him go. Let's don't race now. Let's save this for the last 50 miles.
How about the leader, Marty?
Well, that was a thought earlier, Alan, and they gave him Mark Martin the lead. They kind of pulled over, let him go. They thought, we're going to be better than him in the longer run anyway. Greg certainly very good, but the longer they go, the better this 16 car gets. They knew they would eventually get back around their teammate. They finally have retaken the lead now.
I'll tell you part of his motivation for getting going around Mark, maybe that 48 car, because he's starting to roll again.
Pretty strong.
He is.
Jimmy Johnson pressuring Martin for second. Here he comes.
And Jimmy's car seems to be better after they've run some laps on the tires, or his car stays more consistent, the other cars go off. But Jimmy Johnson's stronger later in the run than he is earlier in the run.
And, you know, normally we talk about these cars running 100 miles, but today we're only talking about them running about 85, 90 miles maximum. Dave?
No word from Mark Martin right now, so we assume everything's okay. Remember, early in the race, he set the standard for his day by letting 2 cars by, but no more in that first run. Matt?
And the 42 of Jamie McMurray trying to close in. You can see him edge into your screen trying to chase down Mark Martin. He was loose on the last pit stop. They made a wedge adjustment, and they really feel like they had an off week last week. It was their worst finish since July at Pocono. They're getting back on track. In fact, Donnie Wingo told me they've raced this car 12 times this year. Didn't start running it until May at Charlotte. They wish they would have started earlier. It's been a good producer for them. They're hoping for another one today.
And he continues to abuse that apron down in turn 3, get into that corner.
Well, it's really working for him. There's probably a little bit of grip down there as well, because not a lot of cars have run down there. So he's probably using it and get some grip. Boy, the 8 car looks like it's making up some ground on Jeff here, too.
Just about the 15th position. Marty, what about the 8 cars? He getting better?
Yeah, he said it's getting better, BP. He said not as tight as it was, much better getting in turn 3. He said, I want you guys to keep me updated as to my pace with the leaders. In that first segment, I was too easy on it. I got too far behind. I didn't know how far behind I was. Now I have to start being more aggressive, and I will be more aggressive for the rest of this race.
It's the backup car for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He had a crash during practice on Friday. Greg Biffle leads. Unscheduled pit stop for Dale Jarrett just a moment ago. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Still under green at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. After today, just one race remains in the chase for the Nextel Cup, the championship to be decided next Sunday at Miami Homestead Speedway in Florida. A new leader, Jimmy Johnson, has reassumed the point here in the Southern 500, and here's how he got there. Closing in on the 16 of Greg Biffle, closing in. Down inside, Biffle pulls high, and Jimmy Johnson, looking for the sweep of Darlington in 2004, reassumes the lead. Let's take you through the field, starting with the 48 car of Johnson, and here's Matt.
And he heads off into the banking down in turns 1 and 2. Johnson chasing his 8th win this season. No adjustments during their pit stop. This is not the car that won here in the spring. That car is the backup car on the truck. Chad Knaus told me this car is much more forgiving. If they miss it a little bit on chassis, this car is easily dialed in, Dave.
Mark Martin's 2004 Southern 500, a lot better than last year. He got in the lap 13 restart wreck. They had to spend over 60 laps in the pits, fixed the car, picked up 5 positions on the track. Remember those 2 guys that got by him? He's gotten back by one of them right now. Matt?
And the 42, Jamie McMurray, who won here Saturday in Rusty Wallace's Busch car, looking to sweep the weekend. He was loose. They made an adjustment. He was 4th here last fall, working on another strong top 5 finish, Marty.
Matt, the same Greg Biffle that was leading a moment ago is now back in the 4th position. He and crew chief Doug Richard had a deal this morning. If the car's good, don't say a word on the radio. So he said very little today, although he just did come on the radio, say the car is just a little bit too tight. Robbie Gordon, car excellent. They've had great pit stops. They have not made an adjustment on it, as we've talked about. Better on the longer run. They just told him, hang in there. It will come to you, Matt.
Feast or famine for the 19 car, Jeremy Mayfield, over the past 5 races, 2 top 10s, but 3 finishes he'd like to forget about. The car, Bill, was a little tight earlier in the run. It was a little loose loose on the last one. They made a chassis adjustment.
And Sterling Moreland just shot by him, and Moreland is just having a great day in Darlington. Pulls it a little low, then shoots off the turn, heads down the straightaway. Moreland, a two-time winner at this track. This team tested here after Atlanta, and it's paying off, Matt.
Bill, the first through the field, the 17 car, Matt Kenseth, was loose. He was loose when they made their last pit stop. They made an air pressure adjustment in the right front. Also went down on the track bar back on lap 83. Marty?
Matt, only 5 drivers have finished in the top 10 in their first ever Darlington start. Carl Edwards is headed that way. He's having a lot of fun, too. Came on the radio, said, guys, I'll tell you what, this car is awesome. This is a lot of fun. Just a little bit tight. Bill?
Marty, more than a little bit tight for the 97 of Kurt Busch. In fact, way too tight. Again, we talked about the air pressure adjustment they made. His crew chief, Jimmy Fennick, told me while they were under green, they will be okay. It's a long race. Marty.
However, Joe Nemechek's having another solid run in the 11th position. He typically does not run well here, but this morning he told me, I feel good about this day. I think we can run pretty well. The car's been just a little bit tight, but they have made very, very few adjustments. Dave?
Bobby Labonte working with fractions. On the first pit stop, they made a wedge adjustment. He radioed back for the second pit stop. He got that about 2/3 right the last time. Give me a track bar adjustment this time.
And for the lead off turn 2, here comes Mark Martin in the 6th.
Wow, power move right there.
Man, oh man, how good was that?
Jimmy Johnson had to back out of the gas getting off of turn 2. You lose your momentum here, you lose a couple of spots. Jamie McMurray passes him for second.
Man, oh man.
So Mark Martin reassumes the lead in the Mountain Dew Southern 500. We're taking you through the field. Let's continue with Ryan Newman. Matty?
He's driving back into this race, currently in the 13th position. We told you earlier back on lap 22, had to pit for a cut right front tire. Then the car was loose, and he's just knocking on the door of the 5 trying to get into that top 10, Bill.
Casey Kane crashed a car in the final practice here yesterday. That 9 car he's in is a backup car. He got 15 laps on it yesterday. Said it's probably better than the primary car. Now the bad news, he's gotten into the wall again and pushed the fenders in. We'll see what happens. How about the 30? Looking inside of him, Dave.
And he's got a loose race car, but it turns down and tries to get under the 9. Jeff was at a local hockey game last night, saluting some new recruits who were going off to boot camp. The hardest part, he said, was getting on the ice. The 20 team of Tony Stewart was there and heckled me, pounding on the glass. But he had a good time and thanked those new recruits. Marty?
Dave, for Dale Earnhardt Jr., we talked about how he was going to be more aggressive, and here was the conversation between spotter Steve Meal and Jr. under the caution.
Trigger, I hate to just wear you out, but from time to time I'm going to let you know where everybody's at, just so you don't go too hard.
I want to know everything I can know. That'll be a change of pace.
And he also said the way we are right now, the rear of the car is starting to go away faster than it did before. Bill?
The 24, Marty, of Jeff Gordon, tight in traffic. Want to make a track bar adjustment to try and make the car a little bit better. Looks inside the 5 of Terry Labonte and continues on his way. Marty, about the 43.
He's having a solid run in the famous 43 Richard Petty had so much success with here at Darlington. The car has been loose. They took a half rubber out of the right rear spring earlier, and it's been a little bit better for Jeff, running in the 18th position right now. Matty?
Marty, earlier in the race, Casey Mears in the 41 car felt like he was mugged. He was hit by the 31 of Gordon, and also the 15 of Waltrip had some cosmetic damage to the right front. It took a little extra time on their last pit stop to pull out that right front fender, and he was plowing through the corners, Dave.
Michael Waltrip started the day 17th, has kind of hung around that position all day long. Right now his car is just a little bit loose. It was a tick tight before that last pit stop. Bill?
As for the 20th, Tony Stewart, it has been a battle so far this afternoon. First tight, then loose, then his radio communication with his crew. I don't know what to do to make it go faster. They talk back and forth on the radio, hope to make it better when they get a chance to stop.
And that takes you back through the lead lap in through the field. There is the race for the lead. Mark Martin being chased by Jamie McMurray, who looks, well, there we go.
And again, Mark wisely. This is one racetrack. You just cannot charge down in these corners. Bill, something going on with Kurt Busch?
Yeah, here's your championship leader. He has fender damage pushed up under the right front tire. He may have a tire rub. He's talked to his crew about it, concerned about it. They're trying to get a look at it on the racetrack. Got together with the 01 of Joe Nemechek on the racetrack, and you can see that fender damage right there, Wally and Benny.
Big time damage there, Bill. So that's This is that racetrack we talked about that will come out and bite you, even though, you know, he got together with Joe.
He's going to get a break. Caution's out.
Bobby Labonte has spun up in turn 4.
Big break for him.
Huge break for him. Not only did he have a chance, Kurt Busch have a chance of cutting that tire down, the car was not going to handle very well with that right front fender knocked back inside. It needed to be out flared to get full downforce.
He gets a break because he's going to get a chance to make a pit stop and get it repaired under the caution flag.
Big break for those guys.
It's kind of been the story of this chase for the championship. The ups and downs, the rallies from trouble for a lot of these guys.
Luck.
Yeah.
Luck. Wow, that's quite a bit of damage. So they're going to spend some time fixing that. You've got to flare those fenders out. You need that downforce. You need everything at this racetrack, so can't give it up.
So he's going to lose a lot of track position, but it has to be fixed.
Here's Bobby Labonte's spin in progress.
And see that 12 car right there? That guy's going somewhere.
Yeah.
He is. We haven't heard the end of him yet today.
Bobby was running just outside the top 10 at the time of his spin in 12th place. And I'm curious, too, as much as that damage is in front of the right front tire for Kurt Busch, if they knocked the front end alignment askew any.
Good point. Could have. Hopefully it was just sheet metal damage and did not make a lot of contact with that right front tire.
So it could be an important moment in Kurt Busch's championship bid here, as the pit road will be open. And the stops will be at lap 121, just past 150 miles in this Southern 500. Keep an eye on the 97's repairs along with the other pit stops. Matt?
Jimmie Johnson dropped back to third. Says the car is not horrible. He could have done better, but he didn't want to abuse his race car. Chad Knaus is going to try to free it up with a wedge adjustment to Marty.
Matt, stop number 3 for Robbie Gordon in his 31 team. The car just a little bit tight. He will be middle of your screen. And again, they will make no changes. And already a quick stop for this bunch. 13-3. Dave.
Tire changers Todd Ziegler, Drew Blickensturfer got all 10 tight last time. They hope they do this time. Another fast stop for Martin. Track bar adjustment for a tight race car. Bill?
Kurt Busch is in his stall. Crew chief Jimmy Fennick says we have to get that fender fixed. Fix that right front fender. Kurt told him the steering wheel is straight. He believes the damage is just cosmetic. Very calm in the race car, but this team working to make sure there is no tire rub. They will be here for quite a while, fixing that right front, banging the sheet metal out, then they'll change the tires, they come around to the left side. So right now, waiting on the work on that right front. Kurt Busch came in here as the championship leader, had that terrible finish of 42nd in Atlanta, started from here on the pole after qualifying was rained out. Now his team must work on this sheet metal damage. Here's Kurt talking to his crew before the caution.
Fifth four, if you see the 77, tell him I'm an idiot. I lost him in the sun. The car was turning going into 3, and that lap it decided not to turn.
The 77 will be Brendan Gaughan, so that's where he got the sheet metal damage, rubbing with the 77, not the 01. Kurt Busch took right side tires. He'll come back to pit road, and we'll come back to Darlington. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Here's what happened to championship leader Kurt Busch. Look back from Carl Edwards' onboard camera. He's the second car in line.
That's Brendan Gaughan, the orange car, and Kurt Busch just drives up in to the rear of the car and bangs up the right front fender, and Rusty Wallace trying to get a lap back on Robbie Gordon. He's in front. Can he stay there?
Robbie Gordon won the race off pit road on the stops.
Oh, man. Robbie, get into somebody, or what the heck was that?
Really low air pressure in the left front.
That's really low air pressure.
Really, really low air pressure.
Like too low.
Man,
yeah, that means the tire is rubbing very, very hard on that fender, and that's not good to be rubbing that hard. You can cut a tire real easy, especially with the pressure's low.
Second place runner Mark Martin looking ahead. That's got to be comfortable.
Yeah, Mark is just going to kind of hang back here for a second and hope that it goes away.
Or get in front of him in a hurry. There's two strategies. Lay back.
Focus on here, man. It's not smoking as bad this lap as it did last lap.
Mike Dillon, the spotter, saying it's getting better. That's exactly what the driver wants to hear, though. Might not be the truth, but it's what he wants to hear.
That's a lot of smoke.
6 car disappeared in the glare.
Marty, what are they saying? It's just low pressures on the 31?
Yeah, it's just low pressures, and Chris Andrews, the crew chief, told him it's going to be a struggle for the first few laps. Hold on to it, but it'll be fine after that. But it hasn't smoked this much all day long, Wally.
And he's got damage there in that left front. There's some damage all in that wheel well. Where did he get that from? Watch when he goes by.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about there.
There's a lot of damage in there, see?
Right over the top of the tire.
It's like somehow the fender's been rolled down on top of the tire, right there in the middle, right above the tire.
That's a lot of damage.
Huh. But it is getting better.
It is getting better, yeah.
Dylan, I'll have to agree with you. It's getting better.
So Robbie Gordon, the 9th different leader of the Mountain Dew Southern 500. Mark Martin is 2nd. Jimmy Johnson 3rd. Jamie McMurray 4th. Matt Kenseth 5th on the pit stops. Kurt Busch, after repairs, restarted 26th. He's up to 24th. He was 10th at the time of his problem a few moments ago. And Bobby Labonte, after the spin and pit stop, has resumed action in 16th place on the lead lap. I'll tell you something be interesting to see. They never raced this late in the year here at Darlington. What the angle of the sun is like later in these 500 miles before the sun sets.
Well, that's what Kurt Busch talked about when he went. Let's follow Mark Martin. We go down into turn 1.
There goes Mark pulling over for the 48.
As he drives down this corner, he talked about the glare, and that's what happened as he drove into there. He just didn't see the 77 car that well in the sun.
And it looks like the 77 slid up and lost control just a little bit. And that's where that blind spot was, and Busch went in there, and boom, there he was.
So Jimmy Johnson up to 2nd. Marty, how about the Robbie Gordon damage? What'd you find out?
Well, it happened on the restart, Alan. I didn't see it on the pit stop. That's why I didn't respond to Wally, but it happened on the restart. They think they made contact with Rusty Wallace. The crew didn't see it until Robbie started complaining about it. That's partly the reason for the bad tire rub.
Matt, what about Jimmy Johnson?
Being proactive, his spotter, Chris Osborne, actually warned Jimmy before the restart, said on the previous restart, Rusty Wallace raced the 6 and 16 very hard at the beginning. Just lay back and be conservative. And now Chad Knaus just told him, look, the 31 will start backing up to you. Take your time. You'll get him.
So the 97 right now sits where? 23rd. Wow, 23rd spot. Weber, what are they saying about Kurt's car?
While it does not appear to be any suspension damage, he did come back down pit road. They worked on the right front a little bit more. Put one of those tape bandages on the right front. They came around, changed the left side tire, and beat the pace car out. That was big. It kept him on the lead lap. They also told him we're only about a third of the way through this race. We have a long way to go. And that word again, patience.
That's right. Not even at 200 miles.
And we saw right behind, just a couple of cars behind Kurt Busch, is Greg Biffle, the 16 car, who's been running so well. Now he's back in the 25th position. He has some right front fender damage as well. Marty, what happened?
Yeah, BP, this has been a top 5 car. When he left pit road, he made contact with his teammate Carl Edwards. The right front fender is damaged. Doug Richard, the crew chief, tells me as he about hits there, Brian Vickers, he tells me the right front fender is not completely fixed. They're going to have to manufacture a part to put on a pit stop later, and they have not gotten the car any better. The Biffle saying is really struggling right now.
Vickers, by the way, got the lucky dog at that last caution. He is on the lead lap, racing for position with these guys, and you saw Terry Labonte off the pace when these guys came by. I don't know what happened to Terry, but he looks like he's back up to speed. Running 35th place a lap down. How about the championship standings now with Kurt Busch back in the pack? You think they're worth a look?
I think so. He goes to 2nd position, does Kurt Busch, 30 points behind Jimmy Johnson, and Mark Martin within 64 points of the lead.
Can you imagine starting the race next week at Homestead Miami Speedway if we have 5 drivers within 64 points?
Oh, I can imagine. I'd love it, but those 5 drivers I don't think would love it too much. 5 teams.
It's going to be great. Update from pit road. Terry Labonte had just gotten really loose and had to regroup. Robbie Gordon leads the 55th Mountain Dew Southern 500.
NBC's coverage of the NASCAR Mountain Dew Southern 500 is brought to you by Budweiser. It's time for a fresh one. Grab a Budweiser. The race is on. By Nextel Coast-to-Coast Walkie-Talkie. Nextel. Done. By new M3 Power from Gillette. The new power behind the Gillette Young Guns. And by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge.
Just about the 200 miles in the Mountain Dew Southern 500 and a new leader.
Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car, caught the 31. Going down in turn 3. As the 31 goes up to that high groove, he stayed on the bottom and just blew right by him. And also, 31 car has lost a couple more spots. Mark Martin has taken over second, and McMurray has taken over third.
So Jimmy Johnson leading this race for a 4th time today. He's led 55 of the 142 laps that have been completed, working lap 143.
Boy, that car looks good on the bottom.
And you know, that's exactly what Rusty Wallace, that 2 car, is saying right now. How does he do that?
Yeah. Most everybody, when they come off of turn 4, they slide all the way up to the racetrack, and that 48 looks like it's getting some grip there.
Oh, we got a crash on turn 4.
Todd Bodine is one of them. And who's the one buried in his side? It's Michael Waltrip.
And Mike, come on, Michael, just ease up a little bit.
I think my throttle's home.
Oh, he said his throttle is home.
That's what I would say.
Michael
I
said,
think
"I'm
it's
sorry."
more than throttle being hung.
I don't think I can steer real well.
I think Michael's steering's broke too. So
I'm going to need a radiator.
Third caution of the race, just shy of 200 miles. Michael Waltrip and Todd Bodine tangle in turn 4. Obviously, much to Michael's dismay.
Yes.
yeah, sure that
Very top of the screen, we see the 50 car gets loose, and Michael just pow. And the throttle hangs, he just keeps pushing him down the racetrack.
Let's get on board Michael's car, then we'll really see what happened.
Okay.
There we go, into turn 3. Todd Bodine right in front. Gets a little bit loose, and Michael had nowhere to go. Here's where Michael's throttle hangs. Usually when your throttle hangs, you don't shift through the gears, but anyway, I understand where Michael's coming from.
We'll have pit stops when we come back. The Darlington pit road is closed for right now. We're back at Darlington Raceway Live on NBC Sports as pit road is open and the leaders come in. 146 the lap count on the stops. Matt?
Jimmy Johnson says he's got the grip he now needs in the front of the car, so it's not pushing. He says the back of the car just cannot take the throttle when he needs it. Chad Knaus is going to fix him up with a chassis adjustment. His spotter also was warned, keep an eye on the 31 for exit because he is firing out way to the wall, Marty.
Matt, 14-1 and 13-3 on the last 2 stops for the 31 team, and another good stop going already. Robbie Gordon describes the car as perfect. I wouldn't touch it. 4 tires in view. 12-8. Wow, Dave.
Car pretty good for the 6 of Mark Martin, reversing the air pressure adjustment on the left side tires they made last time. Bill?
Jeff Gordon starts off tight, then it starts freeing up a little bit, especially when he gets back in the gas. It's an air pressure adjustment pressure and a piece of tape on the grill, and there's a parade off of pit road.
And the 30 car of Jeff Burton and the 42 of Jamie McMurray, they're really trying to figure out who's going to win that race off of pit road.
Kurt Busch still trying to dig out the hole from when he had contact with Brendan Gaughan earlier. Championship leader losing his track position.
Jimmy Johnson's going to win the race off pit road, and it's going to be Robbie Gordon. Great stop. Once again, Mark Martin. And there we see the 30 car appears to beat McMurray.
Jeff Burton going to pick up some ground on the pit lane. Caution in the Mountain Dew Southern 500. Jimmy Johnson's team winning the race off pit road for their driver in his championship bid. Darlington, South Carolina, and the Darlington Raceway hosting the 55th Mountain Dew Southern 500. The race just across the 200-mile mark and under caution for a 3rd time. Jimmy Johnson's crew got the job done over Robbie Gordon's crew, but I've been so impressed with the 31 team so far this season, BP.
Oh, I mean, he came in fourth and came out second. He had a faster pit stop, but he comes out second. That's why he is second.
Here are the guys getting it done for Robbie Gordon.
Chris Andrews, crew chief, Evansville, Indiana.
Kevin Navania, front tire carrier, Suffern, New York.
Ira Joe Hussey, front tire changer, Manchester, New Hampshire.
Mike Moore, Jack Mann, Springfield, Massachusetts.
Matt Kruger, rear tire carrier, Zanesville, Ohio.
Tim Ladiga, rear tire changer, Norwich, Connecticut.
Ron Liddell, gas man, Redding, California.
Coy Hedrick, catch can, Lexington, North Carolina.
David Smith, pit crew coordinator coach, Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
14-1, 13-3, 12-8, the 3 pit stops today for Robbie Gordon's crew. Try to see if they're tough enough to tame Darlington. Time for another restart and a tricky turn 1 entrance as the green flag is out.
And this time, Jimmy Johnson's going to get a break. He's going to be much faster than the 77 of Brendan Gaughan. Robbie Gordon, the second place car, the red and blue 31, is the guy that's going to struggle.
Did not get a very good restart. They're jamming up off of 2.
Everybody gets away okay. By the way, Dale Jarrett, the lucky dog at the last caution, back on the lead lap in 26th place.
You see the 17 car, Matt Kendrick, go by. As much as he struggled earlier on, he's up to 6th position right now. There he is.
The defending champ.
But I tell you what, he's got some trouble on his back bumper in that 12 car of Ryan Newman.
And I'll tell you who else is going to be trouble. A couple cars behind them. Jeff Gordon starting to make his way back through traffic, too. There he comes. Remember, he was struggling, what, down 17th, 18th spot earlier.
The junior, the 8 car, going by Jeremy Mayfield. Battle for the 9th position, 8th position. Marty?
BP, they took 4 tires on the 8 car the last time, and they went back to the way they were on the second run. He's in 10th now, but he was as low as 21st. They made many adjustments to it. He said the car was way too tight on that last run. Weber?
Well, Snyder, Jeff Gordon, that 24 car, now doing his patented Darlington march, trying to work his way through the field. Last pit stop, 13.30 seconds, a good stop, and the car is getting better. Battle for second.
A little contact there, a little more contact almost.
Mark Martin by Robbie Gordon. Now Jeff Burton on board with him.
And here's another country heard from this AOL car. Jeff Burton.
Going to be in that ride next year in front of him.
Yeah.
Takes over the 31 car from Robbie Gordon.
Jeff Burton started 21st. Jeff from South Boston, Virginia. He's one of the guys with Southern roots, if you will, with a real appreciation for the history of this sport. Came here with his dad, John, as a young kid, and really would like to win this race.
Came as a fan and sit in the grandstands and watch this race, and to go from the grandstand to victory lane is a big deal for him.
And Jeff, the winner of this race in 1999. Michael Waltrip, by the way, involved in the last accident, has declined an invitation to speak with us.
I can understand that.
We got Jeff Burton there in the 30, running in 4th. Then the lap car of Elliott Sadler. Then the next car to challenge for position, McMurray, in 5th.
All right, let's watch this car as it goes down to turn 3, see what kind of problem the sun might be. Dave, what are they saying about this shadow down in 3 and 4?
BP talked with Jeff Burton this morning in his hauler about this race car. He said, you know, as down in points as we are, we tried a lot of out-of-the-box stuff, but we didn't bail soon enough to go back to a standard setup. So this morning, we changed everything, and we do not know what to expect. I think they should have expected good things. What do you think?
Looks pretty good to me. I'm sure they're happy. Glare right now is not that bad. I haven't seen it much worse. Phoenix, we've seen it much worse.
Yep. 24, Jeff Gordon going to take a spot from Matt Kenseth for 7th spot.
Moving up. You just have to be impressed with the way this team has been able to adjust on their race cars, because what I can remember, Phoenix last week, the Charlotte race, maybe a couple others where we had radio traffic on the air of Jeff Gordon saying, guys, I think we're in trouble early in the race.
Well, yeah, we have, and we've seen that even before that. Robbie Loomis and Jeff Gordon just work very well together.
We never use the word think. He said, we're in trouble. He emphatically said we're in trouble, but they're able to fight back, and it looks like they're going to do the same again today.
That's a lap car Mike Wallace that Jeff Gordon is going around. Mike in 29th place. And next in front of Jeff will be Ryan Newman.
See the 48 car. He has nothing in his sights except some glare going out in turn 3. Has he said anything about it, Matt?
BP, he hasn't said anything, but teams are expecting by the time we are closing in on the checkered flag that the lights will be on and the sun will be almost out in the sky. So what Jimmy is wearing, he has a tinted shield like he normally wears during a regular race day. But what he will do is he will crack it just so he can see out of it. He tried wearing a clear shield one time and wearing sunglasses, but the sunglasses gave him a headache. Meanwhile, back in fifth, the 42 car, McMurray, he has a clear shield, but with tinted tear-offs like outlaw sprint car drivers wear, so that way when it starts to get darker, he can pull those tear-offs off, Wally, and that way he has clear vision.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that comes from the Impact Company. They brought him by a couple races ago for me to take a look at, and that's really a smart idea, because like you said, you can start out with the clear visor, just put the dark tear off on, and then when it gets dark, just rip it off.
And while just for fans new to the sport, a real quick definition of a tear-off.
Yeah, it's like a plastic sheet, and it's something that you can look on and you tape it to your visor. Actually, it snaps over the buttons on your visor, so it just darkens that visor, and then when you're done with it, you just reach up and tear it off, just like on the windshields.
Jimmie Johnson out in front of the 55th Mountain Dew Southern 500. A lot of the championship contenders running well today at Darlington. Check the championship standings as they run in the Mountain Dew Southern 500.
Jimmie Johnson has come from, what, 206 or 7 points behind. As they run would be the leader, 19 points in front of the second-place car.
Kurt Busch ran into some lap traffic in the sun glare at lap 115 and had to make some extended repairs on a pit stop. He dropped as far as 26th place and runs now in 15th. And that's why the swing in the championship standings. Let's go through the field as we run under the green flag, starting with the leader. Here's Matt.
At one point, the 48 team was 247 points out of the lead. He now has the grip on the racetrack here at Darlington. Also the pit crew, Dave, 13.5, 13.6, 13.5, and 12.7 on the last stop. He is pulling away, 2.7.
Mark Martin has scored the third most points of any driver in the last 10 races. In the last 13, he hasn't finished outside the top 20. Today, looking like he can run in the top 2. Marty?
Dave, still no adjustments on the car for Robbie Gordon. They telling him, keep being nice to your tires. He finished 4th here in March. You can see why he's so good at this racetrack. Taking care of it early. They're good at the end of the run. Matty?
Jamie McMurray in the 42 car. He said it's good, but at the beginning it just lacks so much speed and it's slow. It takes me so long for this car to come in, but boy, when it comes in, it really comes in. Meanwhile, the 12 car, Brian Newman, inside the top 5. They had to pull out the fender. He got some damage when he tried passing the 19 in Mayfield earlier in the race in traffic, Bill.
Right behind the 12 is the 24 of Jeff Gordon. It's all about track position for this team right now. Crew Chief Robbie Loomis to his driver. Let's get back up there where we belong, and then we can race for the win. That would be Gordon's 6th win in the Southern 500, Dave.
Jeff Burton providing a lot of information to his crew right now. Unfortunately, it's not good. Not turning as good as the last run, he said. And then just 5 laps later, he said almost sideways in the center of the corner. They'll have to adjust on the 30 car. Marty?
Dave, earlier this week, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was asked, what is success at Darlington? He said, if at any point during the race my car is doing what I actually want it to do, that's success at Darlington. He finally has a little bit of success. Said the car is the best it has been all day. Carl Edwards behind him in his first ever Darlington start. Same car he finished 3rd with at Atlanta just a couple of weeks ago. Can't get going on the short run, but they are very good at the end of the run. Joe Nemechek having a very solid day. You know, they finished 12th last week at Phoenix, and he said, for us, that is a bad race of late. Car has been both loose and tight for the afternoon. Bill?
Marty, I think it's going to be interesting to watch the 40 car of Sterling Marlin in the second half of this race. Very good in the first half. No adjustments to that car. Sterling is happy with it. He's a two-time winner at this track. As for the 10 car of Scott Riggs, this is just a very impressive run for this young man, looking for a strong finish as the season comes to a conclusion. A top 5 would be an outstanding finish for Riggs, Marty.
Terrific run for Jeff Green. He is in 13th for him also. This would be a great day. His best ever Darlington finish, 12th, so he needs to gain a little bit more. The car has been loose for most of the afternoon, but they've been getting it better, Bill.
Marty, Kurt Busch has been very analytical in that 97 car. He's trying to make his car better. In fact, they want to pull the left rear spring rubber out of the car, but Kurt says, I want you to make my car more like Mark Martin's car because I really like the way that car is handling. That's the 97. Behind him, the 21 of Ricky Rudd. This is a backup car, crashed in the closing minutes of the final practice yesterday. In fact, crew chief Pat McSwain told Benny and I this morning that if practice hadn't been extended, Rudd wouldn't have wrecked. He wouldn't have been in the backup car. That's the Charlotte car, and McSwain said it should do okay today. Dave.
On the last pit stop, the 18 car, Bobby Labonte, was tight. They got a track bar and air pressure adjustment and a narrow roll of duct tape through the window. He was having a glare problem. The tape was so that he could tape up his visor to block the sun. It is a tinted visor, according to Peter Gellin on his crew, but he said, you know, Bobby's never asked me to tape the window here before, but then again, we don't have a lot of data for Darlington in November. Matt
Kenseth just dropped to 17, and I quote, he says it will not turn in a 90-acre field. It's gone downhill all day. He says he just has absolutely no grip anywhere on the racetrack, Bill.
He's looking out the window with a 25 of Brian Vickers, that rookie who's having a strong run here today. Vickers, 18th at Phoenix last Sunday, but 2 weeks ago, that 7th place finish at Atlanta. That meant a lot to him, Matt.
Mayfield in the 19, running 19th. He's telling his team, Kenny Francis, the crew chief, the car just will not turn like a lot of guys. He says the car is better on a long run. It gets better as it goes, but they just need some long runs, Marty.
Matt, that is Mike Bliss in the Zero car for the first time this year. He'll be in it next week at Homestead for the finale of the Homestead Miami Speedway. He came on the radio before he took tires, said, we're terrible. Then when they took tires, he said, the car's turning really good now. It's amazing what tires will do for you at Darlington. Bill?
Marty, again, this is a backup car, the 9 car of Casey Kane. They got it on the track in about 16 minutes and 20 seconds yesterday after the primary car was wrecked. He has tapped the wall a couple of times, if you want to call it tapping the wall at Darlington, but the back of the car just way too loose right now for Casey Kane, Marty.
Bill, here comes Greg Biffle. Remember, he had a car that led the race earlier on, had some damage on the right front fender on pit road with his teammate Carl Edwards. The right front fender damage is now fixed. The car's a little bit loose, but he's fast. Matt?
And the guy that's right in his mirrors, the 41 of Casey Mears, had a great run going last week, then had a flat tire, ended his day up against the wall. He is running in the 23rd position, Bill. He, like everybody else, just battling this tough, gritty old racetrack with no grip.
Boy, you're right about that, Matt. In fact, Tony Stewart in that 20 car says the car's tight in the center of the turns on both ends of the racetrack. They have really fought to find the handle on that car. As for Dale Jarrett, a 3-time winner here in the spring race, he's never won the Southern 500. Got the lucky dog, got back on the lead lap. The car's a little better now. The car is just a little bit free. He's trying to break that Southern 500 jinx. So where do you turn to break the jinx? Maybe to the Boston Red Sox. Trot Nixon spent the first part of this race in his pit.
Bill, Scott Wimmer's been hanging on the lead lap all afternoon long in the 26th position right now. They have made wholesale changes, working with new crew chief Derek Finley. The car has been loose. They've tried wedge, track bar, and everything on this last drop. 3 rounds of wedge down on the track bar, 3 rounds down on the track bar, trying to tighten up that 22 car.
Wonder if Weber, the Yankees fan, didn't try to like trip Trot or anything while he's going through the pits. You wouldn't do that, would you, Bill?
I wouldn't say anything. Red Sox.
Hey, yeah, thank you.
Sorry, my mic's breaking up.
Jimmie Johnson is the race leader, and we took you back through the entire lead lap in our Through the Field. We'll take a break now. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. USA Today is the place for a comprehensive look at motorsports. Get all the latest stats, standings, and race results to keep up with your favorite teams and drivers. Pick up a copy of USA Today every day. Jimmie Johnson leading at Darlington in the Mountain Dew Southern 500. We are just past halfway in the 55th running of this great race. On our Stacker 2-track fact for Darlington, 1950 is the first running of this race. It was NASCAR's first 500-mile race and the first NASCAR race on a fully paved super speedway. Of course, you remember the story of who won, right, BP?
Oh, yes, I do. Johnny Mance, the slowest qualifier in the field, and they started 75 cars or something. The slowest car won the race.
How do you do that?
Because all the fast cars kept blowing tires. They were going down the parking lot, stealing tires off customers' cars, fans' cars, coming in, putting them on. But he just put it around there and won the race.
Crowd of 25,000 watched the race that day.
And speaking of tires, he has 4 new ones on. He didn't have to steal those. He bought them from Goodyear. And boy, is he fast with those 4 tires.
Now, was that a strategy call, or did he have trouble?
My guess is that was strategy.
I would say strategy. Look at how much faster that car is with fresh tires. So he's going to make up a lot of ground.
Don't remember the year, Benny and Wally, but Harry Gant one year here at Darlington, his team used a strategy where they short pitted all day and almost won the race.
Why guess at it, guys? Let's ask Matt.
Well, VP, they think they might have had a leaking tire on the 12 car. The car was running great. They finally feel like they've got it dialed into where they need it, but they did have to hit pit road.
That means if they're playing strategy game, they won't tell Matt.
Exactly.
No, that's exactly what they told the driver on the radio, actually, BP.
Oh, okay, good.
It was only 30 and change laps since that caution flag pit stop, so that'd be a little early to be short pit.
We got Harvick in right now.
So there is Ryan Newman, and you saw that he is falling back to 26th place, a lap behind the leader. It's all going Jimmy Johnson's way right now at this point in the race.
But he's running across some pretty good traffic right now. Casey Kane, Casey Mears, Kyle Petty, and these guys definitely want to stay in front of that 48 if there's any way possible. And there's not any way possible. Bill, what do you think? You thinking there's another car we should be watching? Who is that?
What's half of 48?
24.
Yeah. Wally, you looking at lap times up there at all?
Yes, I have been.
How about that 24 car?
Pretty fast that lap.
Yeah, like 0.6 of a second last a lap or two ago. Just really fast. Obviously, the leader's in traffic now, but the 24 car just marching through the field. And, my gosh, I think we've seen this before.
And Bill, you're right. He has moved up to the 3rd position.
There's been a couple of great rallies on Jeff Gordon's part, notably the one in Charlotte, to me, where he was involved in 2 wrecks during that race and came back to finish 2nd.
Mike Wallace, the 4 car, had to park his car just a moment ago. Something came up and knocked the oil pump belt off the car. I saw a car this morning that had a shield over the oil pump belt so debris off the racetrack would not come up and knock that belt off, because it drives the oil pump, which circulates the oil through the engine, also picks it up. By the way, let's go inside our Home Depot garage. How do they do that? I just started talking about that and show you what we're talking about. There is the oil pump belt. Uh-oh. Got it ready.
Turn 4.
That's the car that had the debris thing on it to cover the belt up.
Dale Jarrett.
Dale Jarrett.
Caution flag is out. He was on the lead lap.
He hit us right after we hit Biffle.
And now he's got some troubles.
I heard someone hit Biffle.
And Newman's going to get trapped a lap down.
Casey Mears will be the lucky dog. Dale Jarrett, when he was sitting sideways on the racetrack, the leaders went by him. I was going to say that caught him a lap down, but it looks like he's going to have some more problems than that.
Well, he's hit that wall hard. Yeah, the right side.
4th caution flag of this race, and I'm sure one a lot of people are happy to see.
Look at that.
Panel bar is down there, isn't it?
That really knocked the rear over.
Bill?
Oh, I guess that Bambino curse got the 88, huh, Alan, huh?
I wasn't even thinking that, Bill. That curse is over.
At least for this year.
Look at that. He
Man,
hit that wall a ton.
The left rear tire is sticking out about 6 inches more than it should. How'd this happen?
He's got loose. Boom.
Oh, boy.
That's a hit there.
And Tony Stewart just barely gets...
Yeah, it has been, as we said, it seems kind of strange to come to Darlington.
Boy, that is a hard impact.
Southern 500, it must be in shirt sleeves and wiping a little sweat on
Top of your screen. That's a hit.
He got turned and almost got the wall head on.
like when it broke loose, he tried to save it, and it bit when he corrected.
Yeah.
But he had to go. The leader was right behind it, Jimmy Johnson, so he had to go as fast as he could.
Watch this car jump sideways. He'll catch it.
Well, he gets into Biffle just before he crashes.
That didn't have anything to do with the wreck.
Sure didn't.
His wreck, anyway.
All right, so Dale Jarrett in trouble, and the pit road will be open as the field comes to it this time. The stops will be at lap 196. Jimmy Johnson first in, Matt.
Alan, remember we told you earlier about Jimmy Johnson's visor and his sunglasses that he doesn't wear. He just wears that tinted shield. He says the sun is really bothering him exiting turn 2. He cannot see well to hit his marks. He also says the car is pretty good, needs a little more forward bite. You can see they're going to make another chassis adjustment, possibly going to add some tape to the grill, the 48 car for Johnson. Marty, a little bit of trouble on the right front. They're losing some time, valuable time. Worst stop today, Shane Parsnow, Marty, hits the left to the left front to help out.
That for Robbie Gordon on the bottom of your screen. No chassis adjustments, but they're a developing problem. They think they're down on 7 cylinders. Dave?
Really good pit stop for Mark Martin. His car was pretty good. They decided to put a round of bite in just to keep up with the track. Bill?
Jeff Gordon in a drag race with Mark Martin down pit road. Gordon said that was awesome right there, talking about the last few laps on that car, no changes.
It's going to get him the race lead, but Jimmy Johnson is going to come out way back in traffic.
And I'm sure Mark's going, well, that 24 sure seems like he sped to me. That's what he's saying to his crew.
So Jeff Gordon will be out in front of the Mountain Dew Southern 500 when we go back green flag racing. After Jimmy Johnson has troubles on his pit stop and Gordon's crew gets their job done efficiently.
Back in Darlington, pit stops are over. The guy who took the biggest hit was Jimmy Johnson. He will restart from the 11th position. As you take a look at his pit stop, what actually happened, a lug went between the wheel and the hub. He lost a lot of time. Luckily, Shane Parsnow, thinking quickly, he went up to the left front wheel and started hitting the lugs. Now, if you take a look on the pit box, on the 48, what I'm going to be talking about, you can see this is a simulation of the wheel going on a hub. The lug nut was hung between the wheel and the hub. That's what cost them that time here on pit road in those 10 spots.
That's almost impossible. That could happen.
That's what they said, BP. They could not believe it.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Anything can happen.
So now Jimmy Johnson going to be back in traffic after leading coming to pit road when the caution waved a minute ago. They're still cleaning up the track. We'll be back for the restart.
Back at Darlington, lap 200 on the board, and last year's Cup Championship was not only the first for Matt Kenseth, but also the first for longtime car owner Jack Roush. This year, Kurt Busch trying to win the first ever Cup for another popular veteran of the sport, and that is the subject of today's Ford Built Tough moment. Kurt has had a great season. Jimmy Finning, as crew chief, has been in this sport, though, for 20 years, and he told me Friday the amazing thing about that, he's only worked for 2 race teams, Bobby Allison and Jack Roush. This is a popular win if they can win it. Jimmy Finning, one of the most popular people in this business. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had to make 2 pit stops this last time. The car, as he said, going backwards. Here's an animated conversation between him and crew chief Tony Eury.
The car has really got no grip in the back, and we are going the wrong way. The last 3 runs have been terrible. I don't want bite out. I want grip. I ain't doing nothing wrong, I can tell you that.
Hey, you're doing fine. You just get a little irritated on me.
Here in Darlington, I can't help it. I'm really, I'm apologize now. I'm real sorry, because I just can't help it. I don't want to do this no more than y'all do. It's just one of the racetracks I don't like.
Wow. This is a tough racetrack. There's no doubt about it. And I think you've watched half this race already, fans, and you can tell it's a tough country.
Frustrating racetrack. So Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in 21st place after 2 pit stops under the caution. Jeff Gordon, the race leader. Lap car, Kasey Kahne, then Mark Martin.
Oh, this is where you get in trouble. Good thing that's not fresh tires.
Luckily, Scott Riggs at 10 car was able to get by. Scott
Riggs is doing a great job.
And
Great run.
There's Jimmy Johnson. Restarted in 10th place after leading going on to pit road a minute ago. Matt Yoakum showed you what happened. The luck fell down between the wheel and the hub.
He'll work his way up. So he's still got a lot of racing left to do here.
Oh, that's right. There's an awfully long, what, 200 more miles to go before we determine a winner. So he can take his time. Be patient.
We also mentioned that under that caution, Matt Kenseth stayed out for a couple of laps to lead, collect 5 bonus points in the chase for the championship.
Now check this out. Jeff Gordon, being the leader, has taken over the points lead, and Jimmy Johnson's now 48 back. The fact that he's back in 10th position.
Kurt Busch running in 12th now, and you see Earnhardt Jr. after the extra pit stop losing some ground.
As I see a battle for the, 10th position, 9th, between Johnson and Riggs.
Harvick in the middle of that, about 3 or 4 laps down, but he's having a miserable day.
Yes.
In that 29 car, not having fun.
I think this is going to be the fun place to watch for a little while. Jeff Gordon's kind of established a lead here for the moment, but watching Jimmy Johnson try and pick his way not only through the lead lap cars, but some of the lap traffic, too.
They're just as hard to pass.
And right behind him is Kurt Busch. There we see Kurt Busch on the inside of Brendan Gaughan.
Sterling Marlin pops out past Brendan Gaughan.
Talking about Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch, some of the drivers in the Gillette Young Guns. M3 Power, the new power behind the Gillette Young Guns, invites you to enter the Gillette Young Guns Challenge. You could win $5 million. GilletteYoungGuns.com for details and to enter to win.
Robbie Gordon doesn't act like the engine is missing now, fellas, as he goes over to the 3rd position.
Yeah, here he comes again, BP up to 3rd, as you said, and the car working fine. Now, the problem is they think they have an electrical short somewhere in the car. It's intermittent. Sometimes the engine misses, sometimes it's fine. Right now, obviously, it's fine for Robbie Gordon, and the car is fast. The chassis has been terrific. They still have not made an adjustment on that all day long. If the engine can live, they'll get a good finish out of this one.
Well, that's incredible. They haven't made a chassis adjustment all day here. But that's good.
Have talked to Robbie Gordon in the driver's meeting this morning, and he said, we have run well the last few races. We just don't have a finish to tell the folks that we've run well.
Jamie McMurray trying to get 4th place from Jeff Burton, Matt.
Working on the 30 car now. Donnie Wingo, Jamie's crew chief, is concerned about the weather because you can see the sun starting to set. It is starting to get cooler here on pit road. He doesn't want to make too big of an adjustment, even though Jamie said the car got loose, but that's because he thought it was just so tight at the beginning of the run. So they are keeping an eye. They made an air pressure adjustment. The track temperature now is 59.4.
Wow, 59 degrees, Southern 500. What's wrong with that statement?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 159, actually about 115, 20 degrees.
And as the sun sets and the track temperature cools even more, that will affect how the tires grip the racetrack.
Yeah, these cars should tighten up a little bit for the guys that are loose once the track gets cooler. That means your tires will have a little bit more grip.
See the light poles?
Lights are on.
There's something you thought you'd never hear yourself say at Darlington, huh? The lights are on. Oh, good to see. Dave?
Jeff Burton racing hard there in the 30 car with Jamie McMurray. On the last run, he had a lot of complaints that I reported, but the car came to him late in the run, so they didn't make any changes on this last pit stop, thinking it'll do the same thing. The only wild card is how will this track change. Bill?
Well, as we take you up to the front of the field, just wanted to talk briefly about Jeff Gordon in that 24 car as you watch the 30 and the 42. Gordon is complaining about not being able to see because of the setting sun. Now, they did make a special visor for him here, but when he tries to use that visor, he has trouble seeing in his mirror. So Jeff Gordon fighting the sun and fighting the traffic, but obviously running up front as the leader here in the Southern 500.
Yeah, at least running up front where he's at now, Bill. He doesn't have to worry about other cars and not seeing, so got a little bit extra room to work with.
Yeah, sorry about interrupting you there, Wally, but something else he did say about that car that I wanted to pass along. Once he got in clean air, his exact words were, this car really took off.
It shows.
Yeah.
Carl Edwards, 99, trying to take a spot away from his former Roush teammate Jeff Burton.
Did it nicely.
Moves into the 5th position. That's what we're talking about by driving into that setting sun, and we can see what problem the glare is.
And really bad, too, is the windshields. This track is so, like, sandy and gritty that when that stuff gets up on your windshield, it's really, it makes it even worse. Dave, what are they saying about the windshields? Because they got to be peeling those things off left and right today.
Exactly, Well, and you talked about tear-offs on the visors of the driver's helmet. The tear-offs on these windshields are at a premium as well. Second place running car, Mark Martin, just used their second to last tear-off. They debated about whether to use it up so early, but Mark said, I got to see that. Glare's horrible going into 3.
Was on board Mark Martin.
Goes down the front stretch. Now this is what you want to see each and every time you go in the corner. Clean visibility. But as we can see when he goes down to turn 3, it's not going to be the case as he drives into that sun.
This windshield's a little bit better than the last one we just looked through, Jeff Burton.
There's a sun problem.
A lot better.
Yeah, well, as Dave just told us, but he only has one more tear-off left.
Could be trouble. It's sun glare. Just another wrinkle to throw on top of an already difficult racetrack, right? It's all going Jeff Gordon's way right now. He's out in front by 3 seconds as we come up on 300 miles. In the 55th Mountain Dew Southern 500, Gordon, a 5-time winner of this race, going for number 6.
No grip for that 97 car. And the sun now is gone behind the front stretch grandstands. The temperature really starting to drop, and now it's really going to get interesting.
And he just pulled over and let the 18 car go by. Fabio Labonte, so lost another spot.
Put him back to 14th.
And there is Earnhardt Jr. We'll put him another spot down here in a few laps.
Oh, look at that.
Championship battle is close. 15 between Gordon and Busch. Jimmy Johnson just 22 back. Mark Martin now 71 back. And Earnhardt Jr. 73.
Well, that's going to change here in about 10 seconds.
Yeah. And just to put that into perspective, for next weekend's race at Homestead Miami Speedway, 15 points is as little as 3 finishing positions.
There he goes.
It's going to be big.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah. Earnhardt Jr. to 14th, Kurt Busch back to 15th. It's still a long way to go in the Southern 500. Boy, he's hanging on there.
Yeah, he is. He's really struggling with that car. Yeah, he's going to, you got to get to the point where you need to come in and put tires on. That would be a good move, Jimmy.
It would be. We saw his brother Kyle yesterday sit out there exactly the same situation. The car was just a handful. He stayed out until he finally backed it in the wall off turn 4.
You can only catch it so many times, and we watched it yesterday. You can only catch the car so many times. If the car gets really bad, you need to come in and put tires.
Kurt's brother Kyle in the 5.
And he was catching it a lot, but he just at one time it got away from him, and it cost him the championship.
Doesn't take much here at Darlington.
I mean, it feels like you're on ice when you're on good tires. So when you're off your tires, it's just really, really tough.
And McMurray, the 42, has caught Mark Martin and goes by for the 2nd position.
If they can get that car, like they were reporting earlier, if they can get a little bit quicker on the get-go, he's going to be tough to handle.
Now, he's less than 2 seconds behind the leader, Jeff Gordon.
I think Matt was talking about it. Just after they make a pit stop, it just takes a while for that car to really start going fast. And that's okay if you have a long run, but if you don't, that's going to hurt them.
That's the impressive car, that 48 car that restarted about 10th and now is 4th and gaining on a Matt.
VP about 12 laps ago, he was about 7.5 seconds back of the leader. He is now 3.1. Jimmy telling Chad the car is tight on entry to turn 1, but they have made a lot of improvement on the car's exit off turn 4. He's happy with the race car, and you can see by how that race car is in the stopwatch, he is really digging.
It's pretty fast.
Just to go back and follow up on the Kurt Busch thing and the tire strategy for a minute. The restart from the last set of pit stops was at lap 201. You see we're working lap 245 now. So it's a tough call for Jimmy Fennig. His driver's out there. He's struggling on these old tires. But if he brings them in and the caution comes out,
It is
loses a lot of positions.
It's a tough call, but if the driver says he can't drive it anymore and he's going to wreck it, then what do you do?
Mark Martin just lost another spot, Dave.
5 laps ago, they asked him how his car was. The car is okay, he said. 2 laps ago, he radioed back. Be ready in the pits. I might have a right front going down. Standing by.
My guess is that he's just getting so slick, and there's no grip. He's just sliding across the racetrack and giving that false impression he has a right front tire flat.
Wally, you said that earlier today. There were going to be a lot of guys who were going to think
they have tires going down. Yeah, because once you run off your tires here, you just slide so much. You think, oh, no, I got a flat. And it's not. You're just out of tires.
Easing back into the gas.
You work the throttle so much here. You don't just slam the gas down. Watch the throttle light and listen. Go in. He'll pick the throttle up. Then he'll probably get off it a little bit here. Gets off it. Then he gets back on it. And that's just due to there's no traction out there. You've got to be so careful with that gas pedal.
You didn't just say dude, did you? You said that's dude.
What's that?
You said that's due to. You didn't
Due
say
to.
dude.
No, I didn't say dude or gnarly or anything.
Well, after you were hanging around with the skateboard earlier, I wasn't sure.
You didn't know if it rubbed off on me?
Yeah, okay. 10 laps away from 350 miles. Another set of pit stops coming up. Jeff Gordon leading in the championship picture. Very interesting at Darlington. We come back to Darlington Raceway. The caution flag is out. You haven't missed a thing. It's debris in turn 3 that they want to go out and pick up. And here is the opening to pit road for the leaders. Matt?
Jimmie Johnson hits pit road in the 3rd position, says he needs a little bit of grip out of the right front tire and needs more forward bite up off the corner. Chad Knaus is going to try to fix that with a wedge adjustment, also air pressure, as they pull one of those tear-offs off the windshield to help Jimmy's visibility. Marty?
Matt Carl Edwards, very impressive in his first ever Cup start at Darlington. 2 loose at the end of the run, half a pound in the right front tire, a round of wedge. Dave?
Little loose for Mark Martin on the long runs, want just a little bit of a wedge adjustment on the car. Bill?
Jeff Gordon is real loose, tight in the middle, but real loose. Air pressure and a wedge adjustment. Drag race off of pit road.
This is going to be big when they get to the scoring line. Watch the picture on the right.
Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Jimmie Johnson. What's that?
And Kurt Busch heading out after his repairs and adjustments by the 97 team. Here's the camera at the scoring line at pit exit.
Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Jimmie Johnson on the outside. There goes McMurray and Jeff Burton.
5th yellow flag of the Mountain Dew Southern 500 at Darlington.
NBC's coverage of the NASCAR Mountain Dew Southern 500 is brought to you by Discover Card. It pays to discover. By Mountain Dew, the taste everyone's mad about. By Aflac, ask about it at work. And by Wrangler, makers of Wrangler 5-star Relaxed Fit premium quality denim. Still under caution here at Darlington. Kurt Busch came in here as the championship leader. He has just made his 2nd stop on pit road. Very unhappy with the handling of his car. Talked to his crew chief, Jimmy Fetting, about it. Even said that we've lost our handle on how to make these cars better. So we came back down pit road. The first time they made a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. This time more, an additional track bar adjustment, just trying to make that car a little bit better. Kurt had no grip before pitting that time. So we'll see how it works out for him this time, but he's got a long way to go now.
He's going to restart 20th, Bill.
I just don't understand why they did. If they should have been talking about that on the yellow. Why did it take a second time to make that change?
I think they were talking about it, and Kurt just wanted more.
Okay.
Mark Martin, the leader, on the restart.
Good restart for those two. Bad luck for everybody else because they're hung up on the outside. Johnson gets clear. McMurray gets clear. In the meantime, Mark and Jeff Gordon have left those guys.
Gordon going to try him for the race lead. Turn 4.
Jeff Gordon has retaken the lead once again. Meanwhile, the 3rd place car, Jimmie Johnson, is hung up behind the lap car of Casey Mears. You see Johnson. 41 unscheduled pit stop and got him behind. He's now shows 2 laps down.
The rear bumper came off the car earlier.
Hole there in the back panel. We call that the rear bumper cover. NASCAR's black flag in it.
Now there's McMurray sitting in 4th. See if that car gets going a little bit better. They made any adjustments to it.
Yeah, that's kind of been the pattern with him all day. He's like not as fast as the other guys for about 30 laps, and then he's faster than them, but by then he's so far behind.
Exactly. Yep. He lost all that track position, so. Well, the track getting a little bit cooler, isn't it, Matt? I mean, compared to earlier in this race, has the track really changed much?
Just a little bit, Wally. The temperature since the last time I told you has pretty much stayed the same at the 42. Their air temperature is really what they made a change on that last car. Donnie Wingo went up on the right sides, just trying to help this car more on the get-go because they lose so much at the beginning of a run. He makes it back, but it takes him so long to get up there. And he asked Donnie, who is the best car out there? He said, we think it's the 48, and we are close to them. And that 48 was so impressive, BP and Wally, on that last run.
Oh, man, was he ever. Restarted 10th or 11th and marched his way right up to the 2nd, 3rd position. And walking through the garage here this morning, the crew chief would tell you before the race that the 48 appeared to be the best car.
Jimmie Johnson in the chase for the Nextel Cup came into the day 4th place in the standings, 48 points behind leader Kurt Busch. And at the moment, he would be the 2nd place driver in the championship.
But not behind Kurt Busch.
Nope.
Behind his owner and teammate, Jeff Gordon. But Kurt Busch should go forward just a little bit. He's currently shown in the 21st position.
You know, we talked about Jeff Gordon and Robbie Loomis tuning on their car all race, adjusting to conditions. No surprise, that's a real strength of Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus as well.
Tell you what, Chad Knaus just loves Jimmie Johnson. He thinks he's a great race car driver, and whatever he says is gospel.
And that's the difference. That's what makes it so important. That's where you get that chemistry to work, when the crew chief believes what the driver's saying. The driver gives the crew chief great information. You got to be able to adjust for it.
Jimmie Johnson, a 7-time winner so far this season. Of course, in this chase for the Nextel Cup, the 10-race stretch, 3 straight wins to get himself from 247 points back right into contention for the title.
Bill, to help that 97 car, Andy?
Well, you know, Benny, your job in that nice, warm, comfortable booth is to ask us questions so we can run around in the cold down here and find you answers.
Well, what is it?
And we love our job, by the way.
And we do too, Wally. But the answer to your question, Mr. Dallenbach, is that the 97 came back down pit road the 2nd time because they failed to get the adjustment done on the 1st stop.
That makes sense.
Thank you. Back to you in the nice, warm, comfortable booth.
Well, Bill, there's a little story probably that goes with that. You might be able to add on this. Jimmy Fennig has a meeting with his team on race morning, Kurt Busch's crew chief. And he showed me this morning in the garage area the list of 5 things that they had to make sure they did on all of their pit stops. And tops on them were, don't leave any wrenches in the car, get all the lug nuts tight. He said, even if we don't get the adjustment done, I don't want Kurt taking a wrench with him out of the pits and us getting a penalty.
Alan, it goes back to what we talked about on the Discover Card Countdown to Green. These last 2 races, the pressure on the driver is tremendous. But the pressure on those guys on pit road is unbelievable because one little mistake could cost you a tremendous amount of positions. Obviously, the 97 failed to execute as Jimmy wanted, and he restarted way back at the end of that long line.
That's what I talked about. When you go to bed tonight, you want to say, I did everything I could. There were no mistakes made. If you do, that's the things that come back to haunt you and the things you worry about all through the month of November, December.
Well, right now, it's just going to take one mistake. One mistake to cause... Ooh, who's that in the wall?
Jeremy Mayfield, a 19 car.
97 goes by Mayfield, but just one mistake could cost us championship right now, especially this late in the game.
It's going to be for 19th position for Kurt Busch and a Darlington stripe for Jeremy Mayfield. Now left to race with Greg Biffle, 320th spot.
The unwanted Darlington stripe.
Yeah, they'll hand out a few more of those before the checkered flag, huh? Past 350 miles. In the 55th Mountain Dew Southern 500, Jeff Gordon is the race leader. Wally's favorite show, Fear Factor, 8/7 Central on NBC Monday night.
They have great food on that track.
Not mine, I'll tell you.
8/7 Central, Fear Factor, Monday on NBC.
Don't knock it until you try it, BP.
I prefer my food cooked.
And not crawling?
No.
Jeff Gordon is not crawling in the 55th Mountain Dew Southern 500. 97 laps to go. He's leading Mark Martin by 2 seconds. Third place Jimmie Johnson by 2 6/10.
Yeah, I hope I don't jinx things, but, you know, we started talking about the oil belt. And the 4-car, Mike Wallace, had one come off, and we were trying to show you what we were talking about, and the 88 car spun out. So let's go once again back inside our Home Depot garage and
finish this thing.
Finish it. You ever see the oil pump belt? You have about 5 pumps that it turns. One pumps the oil pressure through the engine, the other 4 scavenge the oil. A piece of debris, that's all it takes. Breaks the belt. The oil pump stops turning. When that happens, the engine locks up because of a lack of lubrication.
And she's all done.
It's going to turn red any minute now. There you go. That's why the 4-car had to park.
Mike Wallace, one of 7 drivers out of this race. Dale Jarrett's car retired from the crash damage. Also Todd Bodine, Herbie Sadler, Mario Gosselin, Kirk Shelmerdine, Morgan Shipman, done for the day. Great, a little hot for second. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Great battle for second spot as they run across the lap car of 29, Kevin Harvick. Mark, say anything, Dave?
Yeah, 2 things on Mark, guys. First of all, that right front tire that came off on this last pit stop was up on the air. It did have significant wear to the inside edge, so there was no real problem with that for Mark. Just a field thing. By the way, he radioed to his crew. Pat, that's the crew chief. I'm sorry, these guys are just way faster than me. I'm driving it as hard as I can. Matt?
Dave, it took about 15 to 20 laps, but the 48 of Jimmie Johnson turning lap times faster than the leader. And you talk about championship caliber teams, and this team shook off that pit stop where they had the lug hang between the wheel and the hub. Their last stop, 13.25 seconds. Impressive.
And the fastest car on the track.
They have been impressive all year. But you saw when he ran across the 29 car at the wrong spot, how much time it cost him. It cost Jimmie Johnson at least a half second just because he caught him at the worst spot on the racetrack coming off turn 2.
Yeah, coming off of turn 2 side by side is almost impossible here at this racetrack. So he just checked up, wait until they get both through turn 2, then he pulled out and passed him on the backstretch.
Ladies and gentlemen, at Darlington Raceway, it is time.
At Darlington, the last time I can say this, cue the duck down to the truck.
Our Aflac NASCAR Nextel Cup trivia question for the Southern 500. The only driver to win his first Darlington race in his last Darlington start. I'll give you a hint. He went into a Hall of Fame last night.
Oh, Tim Richmond, huh?
Very good.
Yes.
Tim Richmond, 1986.
So over last night, the National Motorsports Press Association inducted Tim Richmond into the Hall of Fame. Humpy Wheeler from the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Also, Harry Hyde, Tim Richmond's crew chief, also inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I remember that race. It rain delayed. It was getting dark. Tim and I think it was Bill Elliott had a whale of a race, swapping the lead back and forth before Tim won out in the end. Things kind of set in place here among the leaders. So let's take a commercial break here. We'll come back and bring you more of the 55th Mountain Dew Southern 500.
NBC Sports Live in Darlington, South Carolina for the Mountain Dew Southern 500. Getting close to sunset here in South Carolina. You can see the lights starting to have some effect on the racetrack. This race will end under the lights. Let's take you through the field here in the Southern 500 with 283 laps complete, and Jeff Gordon continues to lead. We've talked about him throughout the day. 6 wins at this racetrack, a 5-time winner of the Southern 500. This is the final Southern 500. He could leave here today as the only 6-time winner of this race and the leader in the chase for the cup. Today, Burns.
Mark Martin has 1 win here, Bill. This is his 38th start at this track, trying to improve his fall record. In the spring, he's got 80% top 10s, 15 and 19, but in the fall, overall, only 7 of 18, 39%. Looking at improving that today. Matt?
Jimmy Johnson feels like this team has been given a second chance in chasing the Nextel Cup. Would love to sweep both races here at Darlington, but he just came on the radio, said he bumped the 19, brushed him. He may have some cosmetic damage to the right front. Keep an eye on it. He feels like the car is better tight than what it is right now, which is loose. Meanwhile, the 42, Jamie McMurray, would love to put this team in victory lane before the season is out. They tested at Homestead. They feel like they had an off week last week. Right now, Dave having a solid top 5 run going.
Jeff Burton continuing to see good things after he changed rides in the middle of the season to this Richard Childress number 30. He started in position 23 as a driver when he left the 99 car. He's in the 12 races since. He's moved all the way up to the 16th position in driver points. A good move. And the car he left, Marty?
That's right behind him. Carl Edwards, that man is, Dave. And said when he tested here, it scared him to death. Now there's 40 other cars on the racetrack. Carl's been loose most of the day. They're just telling him, be smooth. He's very good on the long runs. Joe Nemechek said, hey, guys, you know, we're not too bad right here. This is a race team that has been on fire. Joe told me this morning, jokingly, I hope no one puts us out the car. Very good, very fast. Robbie Gordon said, keep coming. More of that. The line he's running very good. You know, most people tested at Homestead, Miami this week. Robbie tested at Baja, California in his sand car. He's going to race the Baja 1000 starting on Wednesday. What a run for Jeff Green. Just terrific. In the 9th position, car's a little bit loose, then tight, then loose. The biggest problem, he lost his last windshield tear-off. It flew off accidentally, Matt.
8 wins last year at this point, only 2 for the 12 of Ryan Newman. They pitted several times under that last caution. They have a camber issue. They were trying to fix that. That's why they've been pitting a little earlier, Marty, than some other teams. They were having some tire wear problems.
Matt Dale Earnhardt Jr. lurking around the top 10 in the 11th position now. 13.05 in the last stop. He said, good hustle, guys. We're coming back. Car much better. Mike Bliss with a very impressive run. This is a man fighting for a job. Doesn't necessarily have a ride in the Busch Series next year, but would love to get a ride here in the Cup Series. Car just a little bit loose. Bill?
Well, Sterling Marlin would love to climb his way back into the top 10 in that 40 car. Not running as well as they were hoping here in the closing stages of the race. Marlin's last win 94 races ago, right here in the spring of 2002 at Darlington. Behind him, that talented rookie Casey Kane. 5 second-place finishes. He's going for the Darlington 900. 200 laps in the Busch race, 200 laps in the truck race, which he won, and 500 miles, I should say miles, here today in the Southern 500. As for the 20 car of Tony Stewart, they came here and tested. They went through 24 sets of tires trying to get that car right. That test went okay, but they also went and tested at Homestead, and that test went very well for the 20 team. The 21 car of Ricky Rudd looking to get to victory lane in the final Southern 500. Rudd's car early running in the 16th position, trying to move forward. Behind him, the story, the guy that came in as the championship leader, Kurt Busch. They have struggled to get that car right all day. On their last pit stop, they failed to get the work done they wanted to, so Busch had to come back in. Restarted in about the 20th spot, has only been able to move up to 17. How about the 17 car, Matt?
Defending series champion, started out this season on a high note, winning at Las Vegas and also Rockingham, hasn't won since. The big battle he's had today, the word loose. They have not been able, Dave, to tighten this race car up.
Opposite for Bobby Labonte. His car has been tight all day long. The winner of the 2000 Southern 500 has not been able to make progress. On lap 261, shortly after the restart, he radioed his crew, guys, we still haven't fixed it. Marty?
Dave, Greg Biffle just can't buy a break. Early on in the race, he had some right front fender damage by hitting his teammate on pit road. Just a few laps ago, a little left front fender damage to match the right side. He made contact with Ricky Rudd. The car way too loose for Biffle. He's falling again back through the field. Alan?
Those are the cars on the lead lap, all 20 of them. Jeff Gordon out in front. Last year's Southern 500, the winner didn't lead until 33 to go. Plenty of drama to come. We look forward to Ford Championship weekend and determining a champion next Sunday. And then after the race, it's the ultimate test of endurance, the Ironman Triathlon. Pardon me, that's Saturday next weekend as part of our Ford Championship weekend. Wally, you could do this, I'm sure. A 2-mile swim,
yeah,
112-mile bike ride, and a 26-mile marathon in the same day.
I'm in. How about you?
Walking 2 miles would be okay.
4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Next Saturday, the Ironman Triathlon on NBC.
I could do that.
Jeff Gordon has been the Ironman of the Southern 500 so far, while some others aren't running quite so well.
Oh, he did it again. He is just been all over that wall these last few laps.
He being Casey Kane. This is looking ahead from Jeremy Mayfield.
Whoa, loose.
Oh, man.
Thank you for not running me over. Now, what you remember we're talking about these tear-offs? Look at Mark's visor. He's got the dark tear-off on. Now it's getting a little dark. I need to see better. Rips it off. There you go.
Pretty cool. That is
cool.
Good.
And you guys thought I was just making that up earlier.
That is good.
Matt didn't know.
We actually believed you.
I don't believe it.
I believe Jeff Gordon has got a very good race car as we're past 400 miles in this Southern 500. He's led laps 2 through 19 of this race, then faded. He was as low as 24th place.
Kyle Petty has just hit the wall in front of, okay, Jeff is able to get by him.
Oh,
he hit the wall again.
Well, they can't turn it very well.
A lot of damage to that car.
It blew a right front tire.
Meantime, we're crashing at 4.
Turn 4, Sterling Marlin, Ricky Rudd. Racing for 13th, and the caution's out.
Man, we had wrecks everywhere on that lap.
Ooh, a lot of damage to Ricky's nose there and fender, and a lot of damage to the right side of Sterling.
You know what? This race is 367 laps. Now, they can go the rest of the way on fuel, but whoever does it is going to be really slipping and sliding that last little bit.
Wow. We're going to have to pull that fender out.
Because I don't think we've seen anyone run 65 laps so far
not today.
So the pace truck picks up the field, and the 6th caution flag of the race comes out after Kyle Petty in turn 2. And then Sterling Marlin and Ricky Rudd in turn 4 had problems at the same time.
You ever see turn 4?
It's like Sterling may have just slid up the racetrack, got in the wall. It looked a lot like what happened to Casey Kane and Jeremy Mayfield. He got up in a wall, had to check up, and Ricky Rudd was all over him. But
we'll go on to Casey Kane and see if we can see what happened.
Not really.
See a lot of smoke.
Stay high. Caution is out.
Even a spotter sound like they're tired.
He sounded disgusted, yeah. Pit road is closed, so we'll take a break, come back for the stops, and see if the lead changes hands on the pit lane.
Pit stops are underway at the Darlington Raceway. Back in the spring, Jimmy Johnson hit pit road for his final stop in 3rd. His crew got him out in 1st. They're going to make a wedge, track bar, and air pressure adjustment to try to tighten the race car up. They're going to pull off the final tear-off of the windshield, so he will have what he has as we go into the triple, starting with Marty Snyder.
Matt, the final tear-off will also come off for Carl Edwards on the bottom of your screen. Loose when he hits the gas. He said, I want more of what you did last time. That's a wedge adjustment. Dave?
Gas man Rick Machinsky trying to get every ounce of fuel in there. Mark Leeds having had a wedge adjustment back out of the car. A little tight at the end of the long run. Bill?
Jeff Gordon's car is good at the beginning, then it gets way too loose. His temperatures are up. They finally got a piece of tape off the grill. It took 3 tries, and it looks like he might win the race off pit road.
Oh, man. 3 wide off pit road.
There's Kurt Busch.
And Junior just beats him off pit road.
So Jeff Gordon's team holds the lead on an exchange of stops. We're down to the final 63 laps of the final Southern 500. Who will win? How will the championship standings look at the end of the day? Good job, Team 24. Coming to NBC this January, the International Auto Show. You get a sneak peek at the flashiest cars and new futuristic trends in automobiles. Forward to that, the International Auto Show, Sunday, January 23rd, 1 Eastern Time on NBC.
So do I. That is going to be so much fun. If there were 50 models, it'd be better, but new cars are okay.
Come on.
Okay, new cars are okay.
Futuristic trends. Speaking of the future, next weekend, our Wendy's race menu. The championship is decided at the Homestead Miami Speedway, 12 noon Eastern Time next Sunday. Right now, 3 drivers, 27 points. We'll see. Still some track cleanup work ongoing. We'll come back for the restart in a moment. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Through the first 300 laps of the Southern 500, here's how things unfolded.
Race started, lined up by points. Oh, Kenseth almost loses control, but maintains. And then the 12th car, one of the first cars to pit with a right front tire issue.
And we had Bobby Hamilton Jr. get into the wall. Well, one of many today.
Mark Martin's hit.
Hell served coming off pit road, and they are happy.
Ahead to lap 117, looking back from Carl Edwards, the big moment of the race, the championship leader, Kurt Busch, tangling with another car.
Bobby Labonte spins off turn 4, brings out a caution flag. That's when they're able to repair the right front fender on Kurt Busch's car.
Lost all his track position then.
Todd Bodine and Michael Walsh's final second right here.
Head to lap 194, Greg Biffle.
Ooh.
And Dale Jarrett tangle, and then Jarrett goes for a ride into the turn 4 wall. Jimmy Johnson's team had trouble on a pit stop. A lug hung between the wheel that they were trying to put on the car and the hub. Lost his track position. He was the leader at that point.
More work on the 97 car on the right front.
Now the most recent caution.
40 car of Sterling Marlin, 21 of Ricky Rudd, get together off turn 4, spins, and brings out the caution.
Jeff Gordon, the race leader, led the most laps today. He fell as low as 24th place at lap 60, took the lead at lap 198. We check our Napa field summary now. Gordon, one of 10 drivers that have traded the lead throughout the day, and this wrapping up the 6th caution flag of this race.
8 cars out of the race.
We got 59 laps, BP. You know, you got to start thinking about, still got to race the racetrack, but you got to start racing each other right now.
Yeah, I think right now is when you do it. If you get a chance to pass somebody, you got to take advantage of it.
See Matt Kenseth down to the inside of the leaders. He made a green flag pit stop before that last caution. It trapped him back in the pack. In 20th place, 2 laps down.
And Jimmy Johnson caught a tough break. He is the 3rd place car, but he now has 2 lap cars between himself and Mark Martin. There he goes by Kevin Harvick, one of those cars, but now he has to get by Kenseth to try to catch Mark Martin.
Yeah, I think he's, you know, he realizes right now he's got to keep the leader in sight. Got to start running a little bit harder than he have been all day long.
Boy, if you run really hard now with 57 laps to go, what are those tires going to be like in the final 10 laps?
It's not that you're running. I mean, you got to run hard, but I think everybody's got to pick up the pace a little bit. You know, and Jeff Gordon, believe me, he's going to be running hard because he's going to have company in his mirror here in a few laps. So you've just got to push that button a little bit harder right now than you have been all day.
Sun glare's not a problem anymore.
Matt, what's going on with the 48? Anything?
BP, though, it's a fine line between being over-aggressive and just right. Jimmy Johnson felt like he was too aggressive on the last run, over-abused his tires, and that made the car loose. And also, Wally, I know you're keeping score. The track temperature is now 54.5.
Which is going to give these guys a little bit more grip, which they're going to be able to run a little bit harder.
And that might solve that right front tire problem of sliding across the racetrack. A little more grip may save that right front tire on these cars.
Lights are on, sun is setting.
And Matt Kenseth does the very nice thing, gets out of these guys' way because he knows they're racing for not only the race, but championship, and that was a class move right there.
It really was, especially when the guy that owns his car and his mentor is the 6 car, Mark Martin. But he moved over to let 48 go after the 6.
Look at this. Championship standings as they run with Kurt Busch mired back in 13th place in the race. 76 points, 5 drivers. For Ryan Newman, that 12 car. He's been trapped a lap down a couple of times today, and here he is racing for 4th place with McMurray in 42.
Well, McMurray's kind of sitting tucked right now because he's got a good race car, but that car just doesn't get going after a restart. So he does everything he can to hang on for 10 laps, 15 laps, but then the car goes. But by that time, they've all left them.
And Ryan Newman probably has a car as fast as any of these cars, but my question, we've seen him today have trouble with that right front tire. Will this 12 car run 59 or 60 laps without changing tires?
Ryan Newman made his first unscheduled pit stop back at lap 21 for a right front issue. We'll see.
Jimmy Johnson, that lap, 0.2 of a second faster than leader Jeff Gordon, and he is all over the back of Mark Martin's bumper right now.
Yeah, Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon run about the same lap, but you're right. Jimmy Johnson much faster than either of them.
Taking a look. He's taking a look. Yep. He's got it.
See, Greg Biffle on pit road. Looks like he's had some contact with the outside retaining wall.
Yeah, I would think so. See him. Oh, yeah, he looks like he got loose. Caught the car, but by the time he caught the car, he's already sliding up into the wall.
So tricky turn two at Darlington with another victim. Greg Biffle contending for the lead earlier in this race. In fact, he led 8 laps in the race.
Jeff Gordon that time faster than Johnson or Martin.
Cooler and cooler and cooler.
Yeah.
And so you think that'll help the performance of the cars in these final laps as far as...
Yeah, I think, first of all, the guys that were loose, that's going to help them a lot because the cars that were loose are going to have more grip now, especially in the back. So that will balance their cars out. The guys that were pushing or that were tight, their cars aren't turning the corners. It's only going to make those cars worse because it's just track has more grip when it's cooler.
Yeah, there's a dynamic that could be set up for this final weekend between the first 2 running cars in the race, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson. Here are 2 teammates from Hendrick Motorsports that teams share the same building. And right now, they're looking at setting up to go to the final race of the year to compete for the championship, separated by only 22 points.
May the best man win. I mean, it's that simple, really. I don't think anybody's going to give anybody anything, but they've got to go out and earn it. Dave, Mark Martin, can he race with these guys?
He's not done yet, BP. As has been the pattern all night long, all day long. It is night now. Eddie Pardue, the spotter, lets Mark know just how much better the cars are approaching him in his mirror. When he told him that the 48 was much faster, Mark moved right over and let him by.
But Jimmy Johnson really hasn't left him.
No, he hasn't.
So Martin trying to hang close and see if conditions will swing in his favor in these final 47 laps.
Meanwhile, Kurt Busch has not moved off 13.
Now, let's see, Yikes and Stripes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 13 guys have hit the wall and got the Darlington stripe.
It's the unwanted Darlington stripe. That's not a badge of honor here.
Yes, it is.
You think so?
I do.
But sometimes it puts you out of the race.
Well,
it's very narrow, very tricky racetrack. It doesn't offer a lot of forgiveness, and it's very easy to bounce off those walls exiting the corner. And that's how you get a stripe.
That's how you get a stripe.
Tony Stewart, car is very clean. Bill, coming to you. What's the problem?
Yeah, just not happy with the way the car is handling. They're talking about making tire changes here. I assume they'll take all 4. Long roll down pit road for Tony Stewart, who is pit stall all the way in the turn 1 end of the racetrack. So he will come to the work of his pit crew, Greg Zipadelli and company. Their crew chief go around to the right side first. This car has not been what they wanted all day. They have battled it. It's a 4 tire change, an unscheduled stop for Tony Stewart and his championship chances ending here in Darlington today.
Man.
It's 1 and probably a second lap down for Tony Stewart before he gets back up to speed.
All right, Kurt Busch, but that was not a spot. The 18 car was not a spot. If he can get by the 8, now that's a spot. But both of them look pretty doggone loose to me. Marty.
Those are critical points if the 97 can get past the 8. And Junior's quote on the radio, this thing is just terrible. At the beginning of the run, they're not too bad. They can keep the 97 and other cars behind them, maybe even pass the 30 car. But the longer they run, the worse this 8 car gets. Junior not very happy right now.
Now, Kurt Busch wants to take advantage of that 30 car when Junior has him moved up off the bottom. Now he needs to get that grip to get by Jeff Burton.
He's got position. Jeff Burton will have to let him go here going into turn 1. As he does.
All right, that's 3 points.
12th place for Kurt Busch.
Hit the wall. Oh, got close, didn't he?
Dave?
The guys on the 30 team are fighting that back and forth thing. The car way loose at the end of the run, so they got to tighten it up from the beginning of the run. But Jeff radios in immediately following the start of this run. It's plowing, it's tight, so it's back and forth on that setup.
And Bobby Labonte on Jeff Burton for 13th place. And got him.
Oh, Labonte is in the lead lap. I'm sorry, I had him a lap down.
Does Ricky Rudd?
He's in the lead lap also.
Take the spot. That's what I said. If you have a tight race car right now, it's only going to get worse from this point on because of the track being cool and having this grip in it.
Casey Kane also for position in the 9.
Ooh, he's going to lose that spot too. Jeff Burton, as he's going to have to lift.
He's spending some money now, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's handing it out.
Yeah.
That's like 2 putt. That's like 3 putt in 18 on the final day.
You have experience with that, do you?
Oh, yeah. I'm good at 3 putts.
I never made it to 18.
A report from pit road, loose wheel on Tony Stewart's car. Drops him back to 18th place. Sterling Marlin going to try and take a spot from Jeff Burton. 30 car continues to slide.
Can't do much if the car doesn't turn.
And back to this for 11th place, Earnhardt Jr. and Kurt Busch. Every point's precious.
Boy, 97. Kurt Busch drove that car in deep.
Really, really deep. You think he might be using these tires up too much this early?
Could be, but got to race him now. He's got to get as many cars as he possibly can. Isn't that right, Bill?
You betcha, Wally. And one thing about Kurt Busch and tires, I talked to his crew chief, Jimmy Fettig, this morning about it. He said he thinks Kurt learned good tire management when he used to race in the truck series where you have to manage your tires. You don't have unlimited tires when Kurt was driving in the truck series. So Jimmy said Kurt learned that there, and it really shows here, especially 40 laps, 50 laps into a run.
Former 6th place car, Benny.
Robbie Gordon. Looks like whatever problems he's had now seems to be terminal. Marty, what are they saying on the 31?
No, BP, these are new problems for Robbie Gordon. Said I think I have a right front. I've got to come right down. And there's an engine blown on the racetrack. Caution out, so that may be a break for the 31.
Ryan Newman.
And 31 does have a right front flat there, Marty. So this is a big break for Robbie Gordon.
That was your 5th place car. And what I'm thinking is him having problems and Robbie Gordon having problems is helping Kurt Busch.
Now he's moved up to where about the 8th position. Robbie Gordon, but he's going to be at least a lap down. Newman is taking his car directly to the garage.
And now they're going to put tires on, and they will abuse them, I promise.
That puts Kurt up to 9th place.
37 to go right now.
Yeah, that little stream behind the cars, little telltale sign.
So Ryan Newman's chances for a Nextel Cup championship goes up in smoke.
Pit road is closed because of the oil from behind Ryan Newman's car. They're going to get that cleaned up before they have pit stops. Good idea. We'll be back for the stops and see who wins the race off pit road. Both literally and figuratively, the sun is setting on the Mountain Dew Southern 500. The final running of this race will finish under the lights here at Darlington Raceway, and it is under caution after Ryan Newman lost an engine and oiled down both the track and the pit road.
And there you see the track under lights, just installed this year. for the first time.
Of course, this is the final Southern 500, but racing will continue here. It'll be next May. There'll be a race under the lights here on a Saturday night.
Saturday night before Mother's Day, as a matter of fact.
But a big crowd has turned out for this final running of what has been one of NASCAR's great traditions over the years.
And they haven't opened pit road yet because there was oil on pit road, and then they put oil dry down, and now they got to get the oil dry up. So,
because Mark Martin's pit's just to the right of where that opening is, so he comes through there with hot tires, hits that oil dry, and it's tough to stop.
I guess this is the vacuum cleaner.
Dave, are they doing a good job?
Yeah, they are, and I'm watching them closely, Wally, because I swept up a lot of stuff at my house over the years. Actually, it's about 18 feet from where Mark's pit was. They laid it down, and the NASCAR officials were the ones who went out there and made sure that they were coming back to sweep it up. Pat didn't send anybody out there to sweep it up themselves. They knew that the NASCAR officials were going to take care of that.
Very good. They did do a good job.
Actually, they're going to bring that vacuum truck back.
Are they?
Went into the garage to turn around, and he's going to come back up pit road the other way just to finish the mop-up job. Well, here's the pressure on the pit crews now, huh?
It all boils down to basically who gets off pit road. Mark Martin, I don't know if Jeff Gordon, those guys can pass him. Maybe they can. Maybe they're fast enough if he would get out first.
And Jimmy Johnson's team lost their track position when they had that trouble on the pit stop back at lap 196.
But you wouldn't think if Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, any of these guys have an extended stop for any reason and fall back to about 10th, I see no way they can get back to first.
I agree. These pit stops are probably going to be the most important pit stops of the whole year. Because, I mean, this is going to set up till the end of the race, and it's going to be very important. Marty?
Well, Wally, this is a tough one to take for Ryan Newman. Did you have any indication it was going to let go, Ryan?
No, not at all. Matt just told me, he says, makes you feeling better. We're the fastest car the last 2 laps there, but the All-Told Dodge was just awesome today. You know, we had something wrong there and kept blowing right front tires, but fortunately we were able to keep it out of the wall. And just, you know, great pit stops, great strategy, fast race car. Just wish it was a 400-miler.
And they came from the back a few times today, had a great race car, but it will end early, and the championship's hopes will also end tonight for Ryan Newman.
Here are the standings as they run with 33 laps to go.
6 points between Gordon and Busch. Mark Martin just 81 back in 5th spot.
156 is the maximum swing in a race if everyone starts the finale at Homestead next week. So Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman looking at elimination here today in Darlington.
So it's down to 5.
Pit road still closed. Benny, I'm sure we talk about the last Southern 500. I'm sure you've got a lot of memories of racing at this racetrack. It's meant a lot to you over the years.
It really has. You know, when you first start coming to this racetrack, it is so hard that you hate the racetrack. You just literally hate it because you keep crashing and running into walls and running into other cars. It's not fun. But once you kind of figure out where the corners are, how to get around the racetrack, then it becomes the most fun. It's like running a road course. It's just the most fun I ever had was at this racetrack. Once I learned something about the track.
Yeah, this is a fun racetrack to run at. Like I said, if you like racing, you like going fast, you like sliding, this is the greatest place in the world. Because I mean, you're constantly, you know, you test your car control at a racetrack like this. Slide all the time.
And so many great stories. So many of the greatest race car drivers ever have won at this racetrack, racing this racetrack.
Pit road still being cleaned up, still closed. We will come back for the pit stops. You won't miss a thing. In the meantime, you're watching NASCAR on NBC.
This could be the most important 13 to 14 second pit stop these guys have made all year as Jimmy Johnson slides to a stop. They're going to try to tighten this race car up with a chassis adjustment, track bar adjustment, and air pressure. The Lowe's boys won Jimmy Johnson the race here in the spring. They're hoping to do it again today. Dave?
Mark Martin's car still a little bit tight. He said more wedge out, please. Wedge adjustment in the left rear by the catch can man. Bill?
Jeff Gordon's still a little bit loose. They're going to try and tweak the chassis just a little bit to tighten him up. Looks like they got tangled up on the air cord on the rear tire. They're waiting on the right rear, still waiting on the 24. Now he's going. Marty.
Bill, look who's in the 9th position. Kurt Busch, they've gotten the car better throughout the day. They take air out of the right rear tire. They also make a wedge adjustment and a great stop. 13.5. They gain some spots on pit road, too.
A fantastic stop by Kurt Busch's crew.
Holy cow. I was going to say, it looks like Mark's guys had a little bit of trouble, too.
Check it out. Johnson first, just like the spring. Carl Edwards.
That's
Kurt Busch?
Yep.
Wow.
Gee whiz.
And still waiting on Jeff Gordon, who was leading coming in.
See, Chad Canals is watching. Yes!
Waiting for the spotter to tell him they came out pit road where. It was first. So after having his track position lost at lap 196 when they had a problem on a pit stop, things go smoothly for the 48, this time with 30 to go, while Mark Martin's team and Jeff Gordon's team had trouble on their stops.
How about that 99 car? Carl Edwards.
Yep.
Huh? Man.
So Jimmie Johnson, the new leader of the Mountain Dew Southern 500, the restart and the final laps coming up.
Back at Darlington, the field coming around to get the green flag. Let's go back and review the 24 pit stop for Jeff Gordon and company. Watch the rear of the car. When the car comes down, watch the right rear tire fall on the air hose. You have to stop, then yank it out of there. They'll reach down, pull it out, and then come around and do the left side tires. Costly seconds that drop the leader back in the pack. You see the wedge wrench also fall out on the ground there. So Gordon takes off there. He comes out behind several cars, including Kurt Busch. Busch's pit stop time, 12.6 seconds. Outstanding. Now the green in the Southern 500.
Robbie Gordon, tail end of the lead lap in front of leader Jimmie Johnson. 27 laps to go. Jeff Gordon, 7th. Kurt Busch, 3rd. Mark Martin, 5th.
Man, these guys are digging for all they have right now.
And Jimmie Johnson's really sitting in a good spot right now. He's got some of these other guys in between him and Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin. Due to those pit stops.
That junior's kind of lollygagging back there. Marty, what's up?
Battery's dead on the 8 car. He said battery is dead. They told him turn everything off that you can. Let's see if we can limp it home.
Oh, man. Now it might be down to 4.
Championship guys.
We were trying to stay here and ride it, maybe that 29. Stop. No, the battery. Still, Junior, I've told you, no.
He's going to get black flag for...
Carl Edwards. He's going for the lead. He went in the corner but shot up the racetrack, and Johnson does the crossover. Woo.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Carl Edwards trying to get his first Nextel Cup win in the Southern 500. After Jimmie Johnson again off turn 4.
Now, Johnson never expected this.
No, he did not. Where did this guy come from?
Yeah. Marty, where did he come from?
He came from 5th on the pit stop. They moved up to 2nd. BP 13.5 on the stop. He made a move that he called not wise on pit road, but it worked, squeezing into traffic. They told him, wheel it like you know you can and take no prisoners. One man in the modern era has won his first race at Darlington. That was Terry Labonte. Carl Edwards trying to do it tonight.
And the 29 car of Harvick is very, very slow, and I don't know that he's going to get back to the pits. This may bring out a caution flag.
Tight squeeze.
And if he does bring up the caution flag, guess what? We're going to have pit stops all over again, because I guarantee you all these guys will stop and get tired.
Oh, yes. Because these tires are wore out.
Yeah. After all, they got 5 laps on them.
Yeah.
23 to go.
23 to go. Now these guys can redeem themselves a little bit on the pit stops. Talking about the 24 and the 6. This is a big break for them. Bill.
Wally, you're exactly right, and Robbie Loomis told his crew that before this race went back to green. He said there will be another caution. Shake this off. We can still show them what we can do.
And Junior might have the chance to get in and get a new battery. This might be the break that he needed to salvage a season. Marty, are they going to change batteries?
Oh, yeah. This may be the caution of the year, BP, for the 18. The voltmeter all the way to the left, Junior said, is not reading anything at all. They're going to come down pit road, and they're going to make a smart move. They're going to change left side tires first. They'll quick disconnect the old battery, put the new battery in, then come down the second time and take right side the second time. They may wind up not even going down a lap on this caution, BP.
You know, the 29 car might have exactly the same problem because they've got the left side jack on his car. All right, here they all come down pit road.
21 laps to go. Another pressure situation for the pit crews. Matt?
Back in the spring with 19 laps to go, this pit crew did a flawless stop and got Jimmy out first. They're going to try to do it again as he slides to a stop. No adjustments planned this time for Jimmy Johnson as we head to the triple. Marty.
Matt Carl Edwards came close to the lead. He'll be top of your screen. 13.5 on the last stop for the 99 bunch. Obviously no chassis changes. Very happy with the car. Dave?
Drew Blickensderfer's a rear tire changer, trying to redeem himself after the last stop. A little bit slow in the left rear. No changes. Extra man over the wall, replacing the fuel man. He's gone. Bill?
Slight air pressure adjustment for Kurt Busch and a slight chassis adjustment that Kurt called for as he was coming down pit road. Marty?
Weber Jr. comes to pit road. Third place man in the championship. Shuts off the car. They have the left side tires off. Jay Guarneri, the man inside, has already got the battery reconnected. The new battery is in. They put the plate on. Left rear tire going on. That is a fast battery change. He's already away.
Very nice job, guys. And watch where Kurt Busch comes off pit road after these stops.
Johnson, they hold serve.
Can't believe that.
Kurt Busch in second.
Those guys have rallied in that 97 camp.
He and the 99 were very, very close. Looked like he might have had him, though.
Kurt Busch was lollygagging around outside the top 10 for most of this race. All of a sudden,
he might take offense with the word lollygagging.
I was going to say, I don't think he would think he was lollygagging.
No. Well,
he was pretty busy inside that race car today.
Languishing?
That's a good word, yes.
And now he's second off pit road with 20 laps to go in the Southern 500. Bill, trying to keep that championship going.
Absolutely, and what a day at Darlington for Kurt Busch. Outstanding job hanging on to the wheel, and here are the guys doing the work on pit road.
Jimmy Fennig, crew chief, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Mark Full, front tire carrier, Washington, West Virginia.
Scott Ward, front tire changer, Clear Lake, California.
Scott Radel, Jackman, Massillon, Ohio.
Jason Banger, rear tire carrier, San Antonio, Texas.
Kevin Gilman, rear tire changer, St. Johnsbury, Vermont.
Doug Newell, gas man from Oxnard, California.
Jim Gaudette, catch can, North Conway, New Hampshire.
I'm Andy Ward, I'm pit crew coach.
So right now, Jimmy talking to his driver, also talking to the NASCAR official who's on the radio, talking.
All right, we got the 99.
That's what they were discussing, their position. Right. You heard him talk about the 99. Kurt's still talking to Jimmy, who's making his notes right here. What a day for you guys, your driver and your pit crew.
I'll tell you, these guys, they never give up. I mean, Kurt, he's doing an awesome job. These guys in the pits, let's see what's going to happen here, but awesome. Matt?
Bill, we met the pit crew of the 97, and Chad Knaus, as he's talking to Jimmy Johnson on the radio right now. This team trying to sweep the races here at Darlington. Chad, I know you're very proud of your driver, but especially this pit crew as you try to sweep both races tonight.
Yeah, they've done a great job all day long. We had a little problem. We had a lug nut get stuck on our hub when they went to put the tire on there about the 4th or 5th pit stop, and definitely set us back. But Jimmy's done a great job all day long, and this Lowe Chevrolet is just doing awesome. You know, it's an exciting deal. I love this race. I love this racetrack. You know, if we can pull this thing off, it'd be pretty awesome. If the top 5 is what we get, we'll be pretty happy with that also.
The Hendrick cars have won 3 of the last 4 races here at Darlington. The 48 trying to make it 4. Marty?
Matt, for Dale Earnhardt Jr., the battery is replaced. The old one sits in the back of their pit box. But the problem is they did not put the padding back where the battery goes inside the casing. So Junior will fill that battery, shifting its weight around. You see the dead battery there in the back of the pit box. They came back in, put on right side tires. He will restart 15th.
You see, This is a quick disconnect right there, so all they got to do is take a clamp off the top and jerk that off and plug in the new one. That's how they can do it so quickly.
Restart going to be with 18 laps to go, and we've got a little strategy being played.
McMurray in 42, Casey Kane in 9, did not pit. Wally, they got used tires.
They're sitting ducks, BP.
Question is, how does their slide back through the field affect some of the other guys trying to move forward?
It will.
But they might be in front of the wreck.
18 to go. Green flag.
That was important right there. Jimmy Johnson cleared Jeremy Mayfield. And all these other guys getting hung up right now.
And Kurt Busch is hung up behind Jeremy. Can't get by him.
Contact.
Man, oh man, did you see Carl Edwards go through that on the outside of Rusty Wallace?
You see Mark Martin hung up there. Here's for second place.
Here we go. Coming off the 4, and Jimmy Johnson will he take it? Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Wow. He drove it in there.
Remember, Jimmy's got a little more to lose than Casey Kane does.
Absolutely.
Casey's not racing for the championship.
Now he'll probably get him staying down on the low side. That car was biting as good as it was earlier.
Tell you what, Casey Kane is holding strong up on the outside with these used tires. I'm really,
not this time,
really impressed. But no, this time,
down in there.
Side by side through turn 1. You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Oh, but they did it. What a battle.
Wow.
And here comes Kurt Busch.
Meantime, McMurray put a little distance between him and himself now, Jimmy Johnson. I think Johnson can catch him.
This is for third place.
Now, Kurt really has to be careful. Jimmy Johnson, he had to be careful, but Kurt really has to be careful. He just can't afford to wreck here with 15 laps to go.
Well, not after all the ground they've made up today. Bill, they were as low as 27th back at lap 58.
And they have fought back brilliantly, Alan, but there is a little bit of conversation on the radio. We talked about that adjustment Kurt asked for coming down pit road. After he left pit road, he figured out he told them to do the wrong thing. He wanted them to go one way, but he took the blame for telling them to go the other. We'll see what happens.
In other words, he wanted to loosen the car up. Now he's probably too tight. He wanted to loosen the car up, but he told him what to do that tightened it up.
So how do the standings look now with 14 laps to go?
Well, we're back about where we started when we started the day. Wasn't Mark 102 points or something behind when we started?
Yeah, Jeff Gordon was 41 down, Earnhardt Jr. 47, Johnson 48, Martin 102. But we still got 13 laps to go at Darlington.
Man, this is impressive. Impressive what Kane and McMurray has been able to do on these older tires.
Goes Mark Martin ducking underneath Carl Edwards. Got the spot. Boy, Carl Edwards has done a good job today.
So Mark up to 5th. Kurt still working on Casey for 3rd.
Both of those guys are driving very, very hard. They're not saving tires at this point.
And Jimmy Johnson creeping in on Jamie McMurray for the lead. There it is.
I thought 42 and 9 were sitting ducks, but I tell you what, Donnie Wingo, Tommy Bowen, they knew what they were doing. These guys, if this holds the way it looks like it's going to, they're going to get a good finish today.
McMurray knows, though, his time is very limited up front. And those guys have run good all day. It's not like they just got there just now. Those guys have been up top 5 or 6 most of the day.
Jeff Gordon has been able to get by Carl Edwards. Move into the 6th position.
And Kurt still trying Casey Kane for 3rd.
Here comes Mark Martin. Here comes that 6th car.
You know, there's only 9 laps difference in the tires on these 2 cars, and not all those 9 laps under the green flag.
But as Wally said, you wear them out on the pace laps here.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeff Gordon.
Here comes Johnson. Oh, man. Oh, man.
we're talking about Jimmie Johnson trying to win both Nextel Cup races here. Jamie McMurray, the 42 car, won the Busch race on Saturday afternoon.
Over.
See you, Jamie.
There it is. Inside of 9 laps to go, Jimmie Johnson to the front at Darlington. That
So much of this sport is about motivation. The guy who's in charge of Jimmie Johnson's helmet, gloves, and the cockpit of the race car is Ryan McRae. Since this chase started, he has left messages for Jimmie written on his gloves. There's only 10 fingers, so he's limited to the letters he can use. He's left messages like, in it to win it. Do you want it? And most appropriately, when he wanted the Lowe's Motor Speedway, my house. The message he left for him today, tame this.
Mark Martin picking up another spot.
He's fast.
He got by Kurt Busch. He's in 4th position, and he looks like much faster than the 9 car.
I think he's faster than Jimmie Johnson right now, Dave.
And the tone of Pat Trice and the crew chief's voice keeps going up, but he keeps saying the same thing. Go get him, but then it's go get him, and now it's go get him.
And he is after him.
There he goes.
It's 3rd place.
As long as he can stay there now down the straightaway, he's got the spot. Casey Kane will have to lift.
Will he? He did.
And there's 24. Jeff Gordon right behind him, passing Kurt Busch. Taking those points.
A wise move on Kurt Busch's part, though, because, you know, right now he's not trying to win the war. He's trying to win the battle. I mean, not trying to win the war. He's trying to win the
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
He's not trying to win the battle. He's trying to win the war.
Thank you very much, Wallace.
He's so excited he can't get the words out.
Man, the big picture.
Jeff Gordon to 5th. Now he's going to try and work on Casey Kane for 4th. Gap from Jimmie Johnson to Jamie McMurray to Mark Martin has leveled out.
And these spots are so important. I mean, Jeff Gordon knows he's got to get by the 9 car. Those points are so important right now. And he wants them, and he's going to get them. Ooh, a little bit in the wall there for Casey Kane.
What's another stripe at this point in the day?
Yeah.
Look at the standings now. Jimmie Johnson trying to win his 4th race in 9 tries in the chase for the championship.
Those guys have been good all year. They've been so good. Murray's still hanging on to 2nd.
There's the interval, 1st to 2nd to 3rd.
To 4th, to 5th, to 6th.
Let's see if Kurt can pass Casey Kane. That's what, 5 points?
Yeah, but he's been trying for the last, well, since the restart.
I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I think that even with pressure tires, I think his car right now is just not good enough to get by the 9.
And it's amazing to think how important 5 points could be next Sunday at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Did you say that, what is it, 18 points between 1st and 2nd? That's just 4 positions on the racetrack.
Could be worth about $5 million.
You lead a lap, then there's 3 positions on the racetrack.
And Mark is going to try to make this thing a little bit tighter.
For 2nd place, Martin on Jamie McMurray as they get set to come to the white flag.
Take a look. Yep, he's got him.
Martin to 2nd. And the white flag is up. Here comes Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon to 3rd. Jimmie Johnson off of turn number 2, the final lap of the final Southern 500 at Darlington. Can he score the victory and close out this racetrack's great history with his name on the winner's trophy and put the exclamation point on a bid for the championship heading to Miami next Sunday? It'll be Jimmie Johnson as the winner of the 55th Mountain Dew Southern 500. What great late laps rallies for Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon, and an exclamation point on the day of Kurt Busch as well, who winds up in 6th place after being as low as 27th earlier in the day. 48 teams celebrating, Matt.
They're celebrating, and Chad Canals, you look almost speechless. What a great job by you and this team today.
Oh, that was awesome. Let me tell you what, we got a guy at work, and he told me to come out here and get the triple-double, get 3 double wins in the same year, you know, Pocono, Darlington, Charlotte. It's just, man, can you believe it? That's awesome. It's a testament to this whole Lowe's organization and everything we've got. I mean, these guys just work so hard on this car. I've got the best team out there. I've got the best race team in Hendrick Motorsports. Great engines, great bodies.
And your first win in the Southern 500 as a crew chief.
Yeah, how about that? Loomis told me in the spring that after we won that race, I was officially a crew chief. So I guess we really made it this time, huh?
Congratulations.
Chevrolet congratulates Jimmie Johnson and the number 48 Monte Carlo on today's big win. No cars dominated Cup racing like the defending manufacturer's champion, Chevrolet in American Revolution.
I don't know how those tires haven't blown up yet, BP.
Me either. I never understand how in the world they can smoke like that and not get down to the air.
Especially here at Darlington.
And we welcome you to the Nextel post-race report. Continuing coverage of the chase for the Nextel Cup in the aftermath of the Southern 500 at Darlington. I guess key moment in the race was that set of pit stops with 30 to go. Jimmie Johnson went in third, came out first. Dave?
And Jeff Gordon now climbing out of the number 24. Restarted 7th on that last run, Jeff. Picked up, I can add or subtract 4 positions. Great run.
I'm happy for Jimmy, but we just totally lost that race right there. I mean, we didn't get the opportunity to win many here recently, and we had the opportunity, we had the car, and it's very unfortunate. You know, if we're going to win this championship, we can't make those kind of mistakes, and they've been happening too often, and I'm just glad we're still in it. We made up some points on the leader, but you know, we got a lot of work ahead of us going to Homestead, and anything can happen. But I'm proud of the guys for the type of race car they gave me and the pit stops they gave me all day long. But you know, you got to have the right one at the right time, and you know, it's unfortunate.
Matt?
And Mark Martin talking to Pat Tryson. He sounded so excited on the radio. This is a big run by you and this team.
Pat Tryson is a great cheerleader. Besides some other things, too. He's pretty incredible. And this Viagra team, man, gave me a great car tonight. I just, you know, we just hit it on that last set of tires. The car was incredibly quick. And I'm just proud of this Viagra team, man. This Taurus was fast. And we hit it right at the end. I wish we'd had 5 more laps.
Another second-place finish in this chase as he chases the title. Marty?
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr., what a struggle with this race car today. It just seemed like the chassis wasn't helping you out, but the team did a great job changing the battery at the end, and you finished 11th.
Yeah, we got lucky the caution come out to give us a chance to change that battery, but we was going to be in bad shape, but not a good car. You know, we've had better race cars here. We've had worse ones, too. And it, you know, it's not necessarily the team's fault. We, as a group, just, you know, I can't really communicate the way I want to about this track and tell them exactly what I need. And the whole place just needs some new asphalt. And believe me, I'd pay it for myself. I'd buy the whole damn thing if I could. But anyways, good finish for us. Happy about Jimmy winning. Them guys have been on a tear, and that's been good to see. And it wasn't a great race. It wasn't a bad one. He's got a decent finish.
Dave?
6th place finish for Kurt Busch. You retain the championship lead. Your thoughts?
We can smile about this finish, but our race car wasn't all that sporty. The Smirnoff Ice car was good on a specific run, but after that, we couldn't find the right adjustment. So great job on the crew today to bring me back up and to give us those awesome pit stops at the end, to give us track position. Come home in this position gives us a good incentive to go to Miami and do the deal.
They tried to chase him down today. They'll have to do it next week in Miami. Weber?
In victory lane, Jimmie Johnson climbs out of his car, the winner of the 55th and final running of the Southern 500 here at Darlington. A kiss from his fiance, and the confetti flies around. Be careful of that. You just won the Southern 500, the last one.
I can't believe it. I mean, there's so many incredible things this year. 8 wins, the Southern 500, winning at Martinsville with what took place with our airplane and Hendrick Motorsports, going to Atlanta and doing it, fighting our way back in this championship. I can't believe it. These guys here behind me won this deal on pit road today. There were a lot of race cars that were equal to 624 us, and I had to overcome some stuff with the 29 for some reason. He's upset and trying to wreck me and stopping on the backstretch and all kinds of stuff there, but we'll get that sorted out. So to overcome everything and to be here in Victory Lane with this race car, this Lowe's Monte Carlo, this is awesome.
How tough was it out there today, Jimmy, at this track that is too tough to tame?
It was tough. I mean, I think the cooler temperatures helped with the grip, but the hardest part was getting into turn 3. The sun all day long was setting over there, and you would go in, I'd say 2/3 of the race, and you'd have no idea if you're going to end up in the wall or next to it. So it was a very demanding day, and this Lowe's team did everything right.
18 points out of the lead going to Homestead. What did it say on your gloves today?
It said a lot of things. I even put on my mirror, I put "Don't scratch the right side," and I put a big neon sticker right under here that you probably can't see that says "Race Your Own Race." And then my gloves said, no, it's fine.
Tame this?
Tame this, exactly.
Yoakum knew.
Yoakum knew. It's unbelievable. I mean, to sweep here again, we've swept, I don't know, a couple tracks this year, two or three. This is incredible. I want to say hello to Mr. Hendrick back at home, buddy. We can't wait to have you at the racetrack, and our thoughts and prayers are still with all the families and everyone involved with the tragedy that we had a few weeks ago.
It is another huge win for Hendrick Motorsports, Jimmy.
It is. I mean, it doesn't change anything at all, but I know Mr. Hendrick's sitting on the couch smiling right now, and that's all that matters. So.
And we'll see you in Homestead, right?
Yes, I'll come to Homestead now.
Okay, congratulations. Jimmy Johnson wins the Southern 500.
Well, Jimmy used the word incredible a few times. Wait till he gets a look at this. This is incredible.
Wow. What did 247 points? He was down at one time. He's made it up just 18 back.
That was 5 races ago.
Man.
He was 247 down. 5 drivers, 82 points, racing for the championship in the Ford 400 next Sunday.
Going to be big.
Yes, sir.
And now the final results from the final Mountain Dew Southern 500.
McMurray, another terrific run. And Casey King hung on for 5th spot.
Rookie.
What a rally for Kurt
I'm
Busch.
telling you what, that's an accomplishment, guys. That is. And Mike Bliss, 10th spot. Another great run.
Ricky Rudd last on the lead lap. Tony Stewart, the struggle. Jeremy Mayfield, Matt Kenseth, an unscheduled pit stop, put him behind late in the race.
A lot of these guys wish this race was 400 miles.
Yeah, Elliott Sadler, he hung on all day and had a 23rd place finish.
Biffle had a pretty darn good race car at the start. Man, he had a rough afternoon after about halfway.
Same with Scott Riggs.
Yep.
He had a top 10 going at one point.
Ryan Newman will finish 34th.
And so the Southern 500 goes into the books. Jimmy Johnson, the 31st driver to win here in 55 runnings of this great race, one of the sport's great traditions that have made many a great driver a legend, and we salute them all. Next weekend, Ford Championship weekend, Saturday 1 Eastern Time, the Busch Series season finale on NBC. Sunday, the final race in the chase for the Nextel Cup, the Ford 400. We start with Discover Card Countdown to Green at noon Eastern. Your local news next, except on the West Coast. Dateline NBC tonight on NBC, followed by American Dreams, Law and Order, Criminal Intent, Crossing Jordan. See you in Miami.